Yes, 9 wins for the Roos this year, 13 and 1 draw for the Saints. The captains meet in the middle. Harvey in great form, Riewoldt coming back into some nice form as well. A win for Brent Harvey there, kicks north to the locket end. Let's go down to Rowan Smith. Smithy, the pivotal matchup today, or at least one of, who would you have in mind, do you reckon?
Well, Nick Riewoldt was the one, BT. Last time these two teams met in round 2, he kicked 7. Who will pick him up today? I think Nathan Grimer will have that job. He's been touted as an All-Australian backman this year. He's had a fantastic year for the North Melbourne Kangaroos, so that will be a massive matchup today, BT.
He's had a great second half, boys. Did he have a great first half to the year?
I think it's pretty impressive, BT, for a young player. I think you're talking All-Australian. It's certainly... You'd expect him to challenge for that position down the track when he matures a bit. Cosy
be wrapped, getting probably the best young defender in the competition. We're off here at Etihad Stadium and away. Goldstein out of the middle, an opportunity already. Greenwood to go forward and a long ball forward. McIntosh was being held perhaps, no free. So we let it go and a fast start here for the Roos. In the pocket, Thomas, capable of those sort of things. Not far enough, around the corner, right. Gets the first goal for the Roos.
And that was a great centre break, Jared, and that's what they need to do. Get out of the middle, get it into that St Kilda's forward line as quickly as possible. That's where they're suspect, if you can get in there quickly, and that's what they're able to do. Started with a handball from Todd Goldstein, most impressive player, but Sam Wright at the top end, he looked really sharp. In fact, this passage of play suggests that the Kangaroos are very much ready to go and ready to put their best foot forward. There could have been a mark there from Gilbert, as we all know, but he elected to punch. Very quickly did he play on. It was touched, obviously, so he had to, but it was a smart piece of play which would certainly, I guess, give the Kangaroo supporters a lot of promise. Well, it's a season on the line, Jared. I mean, they don't win this one, they don't make the final, so this is a season-defining game for them, and great start. Yes, it's looking like Hawthorn are perhaps going to get home in the other one, so a win here today with North Melbourne will keep them within 2 points of the 8, and so obviously, as James has mentioned, vital for them to stay in touch in the remaining 2 games. And importantly here for North Melbourne, even when they don't get the clearance, they've got to make sure St Kilda don't get it. So hold the ball in, take the tackle, make sure that you get another chance at the stoppage. Yeah, look at this, we've almost got a conventional forward line and back line at each end, or at least players inside 50 at each end. I've noticed a lot of that this weekend, Jared. Yeah, particularly Friday night, 6 and 6. But if we have a look at the Kangaroos forward line, they are really trying to spread the Fisher and Gilbert matchup. Right. You can see both of the half-forward flankers trying to take them out, almost a crucifix type setup. I hope we can get a shot of that later when it reforms, Jared, because it is absolutely 100% spot on. Great get. Here's an opportunity with Goddard, went wide to Jones. Jones tries to recover it, the hustling Brady Rawlings. Boys, and he'd been in some good touch as well. Graham, Goddard and Gwilt all combining. Well, Gwilt stayed back. His man Hansen pushed up the ground. But as you can see, if you're not man-on-man in that forward line, they become attacking players as well. There's big boy McAvoy over the top. Ray stuttering and not sure what he'll do. Eventually went the wide ball to Riewoldt. Grimer there with him. What an exciting challenge for a kid in football terms. Up against Riewoldt. It's a really great challenge. Kicked 7 goals last time they met. Great to see how big his motor is, his engine, whether he can keep up on the run with Nick Riewoldt. Just loves to run up and down the ground all day and get that space in his opponent. Goldstein the knockdown. Look at the Saints, they were onto it. 3 of them were chasing that ball down, but did well, Goldstein, to hold it up. Greenwood, gee, they're cracking in the Roos. It's an impressive start by the Kangaroos in terms of their intensity at the ball, getting in and under, as you see a free kick given to Rawlings there for an infringement against Montagna. What about this guy? What do you run to best and fairest at the Roos? A chance to win another, Brady Rawlings, and he's basically a defensive player. He's one of the best run-with players I've seen in the last decade. He's been a sensational player. Because he can pick up 25, 30 possessions while he's keeping his opponent down to 10. Yes. And he fancies himself as a #1 chess player at North Melbourne as well. Jones. Would he have much competition? There's an opportunity for Cozzy elevating. Late punch was from Grimer, and here goes the well-oiled Roo machine over the top. McMahon, an opportunity to put his head over and win it, but Snyder equal to the task, and that's a suplex hold of the best possible type. How would Boomer Harvey have slept last night, Hurdy, knowing that he was going back to perhaps memories of his worst game, probably in his career, and Clint Jones waiting for him? Well, I think you've got to sleep with a great sense of anticipation. You can wipe the slate clean, because you never like to get beaten, and once you get beaten as a player, you can't wait to play that team again. Gwilt with the fumble. Hansen likewise, but
There is Harvey, right, just the one hand for a youngster, probably not what we would have ordered. Now Graham. And the Saints got it open. Snyder, we know he's very, very good by boot. Look at the kick to Milne, who really should have gobbled that.
Well, it was actually pretty good defence, I think, in fairness, BT, by Daniel Wells. It was just that final lunge that may have slipped in between it.
Throw it back again, in this pocket again. Big boy McAvoy and Goldstein and Riewoldt, the third man up, and the hands from Ray were excellent. The Milne look around the corner was really good. Ferrito slightly hesitant. Eventually Bastanak. And now Grimer. A lot of traffic though. And eventually the Roos find a way out. As Edwards got it on the hop, so he had to keep going. There's the task ahead.
Oh, poor kick.
And Goddard was able to gobble it up. McAvoy involved, gives it off to Gilbert. Spearing ball, Snyder. Look at the way he turns Snyder, so quick and agile. Missed the one he was looking for, comes to Hayes. Wells, brilliant effort. Here's Thompson. Gave it straight to Hayes, bowled over again, and good to see the desperation by Wells, who's hurt himself behind play in his attempts to smother. Garlett puts his head over a hard one. And Wells still down behind play. Free kick will come back. And will go to Garlett, who really had a crack at a hard one. So did this man here, Wells.
You can't afford to have him go down for the game, BT. Is that one of the few players North have got that once they get out, get the ball out, can run with it and got the speed and skill to get it out. As you see, the Wells injury.
I think it was the next one, this one. Just got a
hit in the head, didn't he?
Yeah, hip in the head. Here's an opportunity for Riewoldt. The superstar hit the post.
And North go out the other side, BT. And Riewoldt disappointing. It'd be good to get off to a great start and get a first goal under your belt.
Yeah, you like to get an easy one like that. Just the inside-out worker rather than the standard drop punt.
Both teams very content on making sure that once their opposition has the ball, they slow the movement down. We see the St Kilda press come on, and that's why this goal's happened.
No!
Kangaroos trying to get over the other side of the ground to get round the press, but the poor kick that was meant for Wells meant that Milne was able to take that mark 40 metres out, straight in front of goal.
Gee, that was a shocking kick.
And that's the risk you take when you've got to get it around the press and kick across the goal, and you've got to be pinpoint with your passes.
Grimer it was, the offender. In comes Milne, 35 out, does not miss these, and the Saints get there first.
Well, we've seen them butcher the ball too many times already in this short passage of play. Players just not hitting targets, and they are so costly. Speaking of which, there's one off the outside of the boot. Now he's trying to avoid the lunging smother attempt.
See, here, Jerry, trying to get it around this press, and that's just a bad kick, isn't it?
That is
off the inside of the boot, wasn't it?
But even if it had been a good kick, you're kicking it long and high.
It was always going to create a contest.
It's had to be absolutely centimetre perfect to...
Who was he actually trying to kick it to?
Well, there's Wells here, and there's another player further out beyond Wells, but it had to be a fantastic kick to get it right.
In the end, I think he was undecided, whacked it in the middle, Jerry. Back in the middle, so a goal apiece, and the Saints got a point. Yep. And as a result, Hayes goes forward, and Thompson courageously backing in. Here's Riewoldt, keeps it alive. Wonderfully clean hands at the ground level. Missed with the handball opportunity, though. McIntosh, the work forward. Now Gilbert's got it all to do. Gee, I marvel at how clean the players are at ground level under such high pressure these days. Wilt at half-back. Lovely kick to Riewoldt. Gee, that's a sensational kick.
Great kick, and Riewoldt looks like he's ready for a big game today. He's been several passes of play, running around.
Hayes.
So's Hayes.
Goes inside without great authority.
Well positioned, McIntosh, just pushing himself back.
There's Garlett. Cruz Garlett in game 14 for him. Now they're going to test this man again, Grimer.
I think it's a definite early pattern by North Melbourne to actually come out the other side. The ball comes in one side, get it out the other side and get around this press by St Kilda. But they have to move it quickly if they're going to do it.
Bastanak, now they've got to go back the other way.
They've got McIntosh set up, ready to go, so they've got to find him. Rather than going sideways, they've got to take the risk on a longer kick.
Yeah, now, Pat looked at him then, Jared, and he said, I don't reckon I can do that. Maybe another player could, but I reckon he could have got it there. But he just wasn't confident enough to let another one go astray. Not him personally, but the team. There's Brent Harvey. Game 299 for this man. He will play his 300 at Subiaco next week. High ball onto the wing. Eventually they get it out in the Macintosh Goldstein direction. Those two big boys crash the pack. Free kick, St Kilda.
Well, eventually they were forced into taking the long kick. And that time they kicked it to a contest rather than kicking it to Macintosh.
Interesting, Goddard's been deep. The ball's going to come out to him now. He stayed deep with Warren sitting on him. Warren left him there to go into the zone, and they go through Goddard. But you don't normally see him play this deep, Jared, Goddard.
Walter, done by Harding there. His goal of the game, been prominent so far early in this game. The Roos defence working overtime at the moment. Rawlings made a good decision to Ferrito. Peake was a good chase as well. A high ball, so they're not getting it on their terms going inside. Hansen did really, really well to keep it alive. A long ball, and this deep man that James Hird just spoke of, Goddard.
It's a bad kick, though, because it favoured Goddard. It kicked it over the top to Goddard, and you have to actually give your forward an opportunity to take the mark.
Just the third time the Roos have gone inside 50 in the game here. As Warren sends a high ball to the pocket. Did Goddard interfere? And the umpire agrees he did. And let's have a listen to the explanation. Probably won't get it. Goddard's walked away.
On first look, that looked like a tough decision. Both players with their eyes on the ball.
Yep. So an opportunity here for Hansen. Right foot banana around the corner. They do it well these days. That's no exception.
Really interested to see this free kick paid. It looked like they both had their eyes on the ball and just going back with the ball, and Goddard's superior weight knocked him out of the line. But oh no, took his eyes off the ball. I think you take your eyes off the ball, that's fair enough, Jared.
No, good decision from the umpire without doubt. You just see there, he looks at him, gets him out of the way, but he's facing the footy, so he's got protection.
It's a nice kick. I'll tell you what, Hansen had his problems, what was it, earlier in the year with his goal kicking, but he looks so much more confident in front of goal.
The traditionalists will say that goal kicking hasn't improved. To tell you what, that boundary line shot has improved. They are much more controlled and efficient at that shot. An old time would have gone back and kicked a drop punt out on the full.
Torpedo.
He did pretty well. Now we just have a look here at the width. If we can pan out to the right, you'll see Hansen. He's just dragging his men out there, trying to just split them. There he is, Fisher being dragged out by Hansen.
Some good shots from the Fox Sports camera.
Good chase there.
Showing that. Trying to spread the defenders as Jared has been on to. Riewoldt on the lead.
Goals from turnovers, BT. There's a turnover caused by a tackle in your offensive half of the ground or your attacking half of the ground. And it's classic football, classic St Kilda football. Caused the goal from a turnover. Great little pass away Del Santo, and Riewoldt was the only one who was going to mark that ball.
Riewoldt directly in front here.
Wasn't that just a great example of the double lead? He goes back and then spins around knowing that the kick will be there.
Comes in from directly in front, makes the goal umpire work to the right a little. And Chelsea Roffey says just the behind there. By the way, just learnt that the Hawks have won by 21 points. So it means the Roos have to win today to stay in touch with the 8. If they don't, they will be 6 points behind, basically. So they have to win this game. Thompson over the boundary line, and once again the defence under pressure for the Roos, coughing it up. Can they settle the Roos defence? There's one of the slinger umpires. The boundary umpires, one of those slingers, Jared and James. I don't really notice that they're starting to sling the ball from the boundary rather than throw it in.
Well, Jeff Thompson has been advising him for 20 years, and he's finally getting his way.
I've got no problem with it.
Does that just get the extra distance?
Yeah, I think so. Just little men trying to throw it a long way, and they've urged themselves to get an extra couple out of it, so good on them. Nice adaptation to the modern game. There's Pratt through the hands of Wells, now Swallow. There's the follow.
They're really backing themselves, North Melbourne, aren't they? Throwing the ball around at half-back, giving it to the first option, really trying to create this space where they can get around through the St Kilda press.
Because he worked hard for this.
He did work very hard.
Edwards.
Got Hansen over the top.
It's twice though he's given the ball straight back. So the area he's got to work on.
Fisher nurses the ball inside 50 gently. Wells did well defensively. Hayes, Fisher, all combining. Montagna with the finish opportunity now to Hayes. High ball around the corner. Big boy McAvoy. Or was it Stanley? It was Stanley, who's one of the inclusions into the Saints side this week.
This is the Edwards turnover, BT. He actually set Hansen off to his right, just running into space. Just got to look sometimes over the first option, look over that contest where you see where there's more space.
Andrew throwing, you can get a thought off you both from Reece Stanley what he needs to do this week. He's had a look at senior footy now with 7 games. What does he hope to get out of this and the rest of the year? Here's Peake in space with Harding. Had to retreat, he knew they were back inside. Gilbert the brush away. Now the opportunity that McAvoy sets up as well, and the kick forward is good.
Well, he's one player, Gilbert, that has had dropped right off. Until last week, his efficiency off that half-back line was absolutely poor compared to his sensational 3/4 of the season. So they'll be really keen to get him back at his very best form.
Great vision by Eddie to find Hayes. And Hayes now for a shot at goal.
Eddie Goddard, he's just fighting, as you said, at the back. Do you continue to push up as they're doing the Kangaroos, or do you actually play with a bit more structure in the forward line and make him man-on-man?
Lenny Hayes, 40 metres out, sends it on its way, and that is a goal. Saints have got a couple, likewise the Roos. And the Saints at the moment by 2 points.
It's well worked by St Kilda, that goal. They moved the ball through. Interesting question, Jared, you talk about Goddard. I don't think I've seen him play this deep in the way he's playing today for quite a while. He's sort of the last man back, the quarterback role for St Kilda. As so the ball comes into Hayes, and a bit of an easy goal. And that's what happens when you have a zone defence. There are holes. If you can find that holes when you're not playing man on man, it looks easy. But the zone defence, when it falls down, it falls down in a big way like that. But yeah, Goddard sitting back as that last player. He's the quarterback. He'll sit in the middle of 50 right now and play the role of, they'll get the ball in his hands as much as possible.
Well, you can see Lenny Hayes there, and Andrew Swallow just on his right-hand shoulder there. Now, it's a real challenge for the young bloke. He's building a huge reputation as a midfielder, but he's up against one of the greats.
Here's Del Santo. Speaking of them, inside 50 with the ball to Crosby, was just nudged out of the way by Grimer. Saints trying to tidy it up though. Milne in traffic. Look at the fast hands. Oh, big boy McAvoy just got a little mixed up, and Eddie was tackled aggressively by Bastanak. And now Swallow.
So Swallow just has to go back to man-up situation. He's got to now draw level if he can with Lenny Hayes, because at the present time Lenny Hayes close enough to BOG.
And one of the big things Lenny Hayes does is get the ball going into the forward 50. At the moment, the Saints are 10 inside 50s to North Melbourne 3. Guys like Swallow have to get their hands on the ball at middle of the ground to get it going their way.
North Melbourne and some big numbers in the defence, and track was good. Now an opportunity for Greenwood. He's caught. He'll have to get rid of it now. He does. Here's Harding, has a bounce after covering 3 metres. Covers 10 with his second bounce. Now goes inside 50 with a real wobbler. A shocker. Blake got under it. Opportunity at the ground for Fisher. Gilbert a little fortunate, but nevertheless they come out clean.
Yeah.
It was, indeed.
Good chase by Sean Dempster before also to keep the pressure on.
And there he is finishing, not so well. Wells' kick interrupted in its flight, and McAvoy, Snyder, Del Santo just pirouetting out of trouble absolutely magnificently. This set's Goddard light. Have a look at that for an unusual bounce. Hand on top of the ball. Very skillful indeed. Here's Milne from the boundary line. Does he centre it? Yes, he does. Not all that accurately. And Harvey's going to rush it out the other side, but guess what? He's not got much. And thus the talk. It did get over the head of Gilbert. Hanson nonchalantly to right.
North Melbourne got 2 players in the forward 50 on their own if they can get it up quickly enough.
Counter-attack has been good. Warren goes into one of those players, James Hird, you're right. And this one is Adams.
Very intelligent kick by Brent Harvey, got it into space. The 2 players, they're not actually playing on each other, but they're playing the same role. One's Goddard and one's Wells. They're playing as that quarterback at each other. And don't match up the stats of who's Goddard standing against, who Wells standing against. Match up their stats at the end of the day and see who's more effective, because that'll go a big part who wins this game.
Lee Adams never looked like it.
That turnover, though, came from Stephen Milne, who was trying to buy some time and trying to create something when his forwards were leading back towards the goal. But in the end, he just didn't flush the kick. And it went, effectively, that kick set up a shot at goal at the other end.
Goddard sliding off a bit there and putting Gould under some pressure, and he's coughed it up, and that'll be a free to the Roos Warren. And he's within striking distance. So even the very best in the competition can occasionally be narrow on a kick.
He's made a couple of mistakes deep. Brendan Gatto, the fantastic player he is. One was the free kick he gave away to Lockie Hansen, and then that kick could cost them 2 goals.
17 goals for the year, Warren. He comes. We're right behind, riding this one home. And that one's to the right. Did not deviate. Just tend to think that he was running in that direction.
Let's take a look at Stephen Milne here now. He's buying some time, dummying, and then he just doesn't get his footwork right. No balance. And Cozzy maybe needed to lead at him rather than leading back.
Peak from halfback. McAvoy was kept out of it well by Pratt. He disguised it brilliantly, Pratt. It was well done. Thompson a little bit uppish. Couldn't control it. Eddie. They are cracking in the ruse, make no mistake.
I know the kick from Thompson wasn't a great kick, but it was a great play to leave Kosicki and come and take that mark and outnumber to get that mark to get the ball going into forward 50.
The Wells bullet. Goddard was held, lucky not to infringe the 50 there, and there go the Saints on the counter-attack out wide, but they turn it over again, and was that Milne again? I think it was. Back inside now, and McAvoy saves the day. So the kicking has been a little astray here in this game.
Both teams are zoning back, and really their defence has been really good from both teams. And maybe that's causing the kicking efficiency to be a little bit down.
And Gilbert then just got himself on his right foot, and in the end he just put it into space.
He did well, in fact, to disguise it and get the boundary line.
Yep.
You're right, BT. The kicking has been poor because often it hasn't been due to pressure. It's just been poor disposal.
McIntosh. Greenwood. Oh. Harvey was held, or at least he said he was held. And at ground level, there's Dempster trying to extract along with Riewoldt. And I think we'll have a ball up here as Thompson wasn't keen to move it out. Lucky he did, he might have been pinged.
Hurdy, you mentioned Daniel Wells before. He was sensational last week. He had 31 disposals and it really set up the win for North Melbourne. He's had 7 disposals already in setting them up in this first quarter.
What sort of role is he playing here today, Smithy?
Yeah, as Hurdy said, just that quarterback role, just roaming behind the play.
There's Hayes.
Well, they've changed it up. Now they've got a couple of forwards behind the St Kilda defenders. They're trying to now drag them back.
Out wide is Adams.
Well, you know that there's a lot of space behind the St Kilda players because they do press up so hard that if you can get it over the top, you can score goals. But that's the problem. It's so hard to get it through this final line of St Kilda defenders.
Well, it is if you drop marks or drop half chances.
Peak was
tackling, turnovers in your forward half, very important.
And Lindsay Thomas, he should have swallowed that one.
Cunnington it was with the tackle. He's wide to Hansen. Hansen inside 50. Here's Edwards and Fisher one-on-one. And a difficult mark for Edwards would have been.
And a better kick to a one-on-one target. It's the right sort of kick. And here's the tackle on Peak. And Cunnington making a very good tackle from behind. And coaches love that sort of pressure.
Here's a look at the stoppage inside forward 50 for the Roos.
Geez, Del Santo will be loving the space that he's got.
The freedom, yep. McWalter and Hayes and Jones trying to really slide one underneath the defensive smotherer.
BT, out in the full.
Jared, that's Scott McMartin. He just limped off the ground now. He had that left knee strapped up before the start of the game. Looks like he's injured it again. They're just checking the stability now.
Dr. Conmetropoulos all over that. Jones. High ball and elevating there was Reece Stanley. What are you thinking of Reece Stanley early in his career? Hurdy, you're liking his aerial ability. He doesn't seem to have his confidence going yet, but he looks like he can grab it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's made a promising start. I think that he's obviously got a lot to develop on, but if he can secure a place in this side going forward, he looks like a player who can add to the team in a big way.
Riewoldt worked back nicely. Couldn't get it in the end, but Reimer, the defender here. And now they get it into the corridor through Pratt and Rawlings. Had to get rid of it quickly. Need clean hands here. Didn't have them. And that's the difference. Harding got to be clean in that situation. A real hard ball to pick up. I know. Quick hands. Australia game. The efficiencies by hand and foot in this game so far have been below average. Milne spinning without the ball. Peake went and got it. Dashes away. Just a little slider off the outside of the boot. Didn't make that work. Jones gave McWalter some time. Harding with a partial smother. And now the Roos have got a lot of numbers across here, but and he takes one bad kick. Bastanak around the corner, and there is the bad kick. Goddard attacks it. What can McIntosh do? Along the ground, handball for Jones. He tried to shock it off the ground. Desperation by Adams was fantastic. Bastanak tidied it up, and they're away the Roos once again.
Good work by Swallow.
Advantage paid. Here's Thomas, inside 50. He's a sharpshooter. He went for the pass to Hansen. He'll be paid the mark.
Well, it was really smart play by Thomas. I think Warren was a bit dirty. He didn't get the handball, but what Thomas saw was the better option, and that was the one down the ground.
Well, the first option was to go to Warren, but as you said, you look over the top, you see Hansen over the back there, and good kick, and Hansen should put through the Roos' third goal.
2 metres lead, 2 metres now.
So he'll line up here, only 5 metres out.
Don't go any closer, Lee.
And he should kick the goal. And he will. Hansen has got a couple in this one already. And they lead by a goal, the Roos.
Got the opportunity though. No, that's a dumb play. There'll be 50-metre penalty there. He has done that before this season. He won't learn. He will eventually, you suspect. But it came because of overuse of the footy by the Saints. I was watching the key forwards. They don't know whether to lead or not lead, Cozzy and Nick Riewoldt, because the midfielders trying to get around the wall through handball rather than kicking over the top of it.
And you know as a player that when the ball gets turned over, it's really hard to get back on your man because you're running forward, you think you've got control of the ball as a team. That ball turns over, you're all out of position. That's when goals get created.
So St Kilda will have a free kick here as a result of what Gerard just said a moment ago in that silly play. They look a little bewildered on the bench there, but that there, after he kicked the goal, went up to Montagna. He did take a bit of a flop. I don't like that. But nevertheless, some contact. Great mark, Kazitsky.
And first possession for Cozzy. It was an impressive one. So Reece Stanley has got the kick.
Goes inside 50. Here's Riewoldt lurking dangerously at the back. From the side was Stanley. McIntosh peeling off, and now Grimer and Pratt.
Yeah, Stanley out of the centre to Cozzy. Big mark. And I think we don't see enough of Cozzy. We're always wondering why he's not doing it. It's because he doesn't get those opportunities to jump for the pack marks too often.
Disposal efficiencies for both teams down around the 70% mark at the moment, which is under the normal 80% thereabouts averages. McIntosh, Swallow and Rawlings there. Bastanak, she's been good for a young man. Pratt. Rawlings, very, very quick with the handball in the triangle. Swallow. All he can do is advance it forward under that pressure. Hansen gets in the right spot, and for the third time in this game he's interfered with in the marking attempt, and he gets a free.
What are you saying about that? Those kicks, BT, 50% of the time St Kilda's kicks hit their target, 50% they're not. St Kilda at North Melbourne is 60%. So running at 50% kicking efficiency and 60% kicking efficiency, very hard to win games when you're kicking the ball like that.
Line up. In the end, the one that best tidies that area up is going to have the best chance, I guess.
Yeah, look, I think it is to do with pressure. I think that both teams are setting up very good zones and structured zones, which are very hard to work through. As the game goes on, you'd think that they would slowly drop off a little bit in those areas and the game will open up, but you can't afford to turn the ball over in this game.
I think you've been pretty kind, really. A lot of those kicks from St Kilda have just been 30-metre chip kicks to blokes who actually aren't under pressure. I mean, there have been some pressured kicks, but Blighty would want that footy checked. We may have a dub ball.
Yeah, I think you underestimate the fact that when you look up, you see a whole row of the opposition players. What that does to someone's decision-making. I don't think it's as easy as people think off the...
it's a hard thing to communicate to the public because we're all brought up on football the way it was played at the elite level in the junior and the metropolitan and country ranks, and we played the same game. Now they don't. The elite level play a very different game to what they do in the country and the suburbs, and I don't reckon people understand how much pressure is involved. I reckon it's a good point, Erdy.
Well, when you played even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, you got the ball and you're under pressure. You just kicked it long to a one-on-one contest. You can't do that in footy anymore. You have to
doesn't explain how you can do it 3 weeks out of 4, but today they're not doing it.
Yeah, I think the pressure's more than you're giving them credit for.
Gilbert, I would have liked to seen... Well, I've got 2 Brownlow medalists sitting next to me, but...
I mean, we can only compare St Kilda to St Kilda, BT. One week after the other. It's not an era situation.
I reckon you would have worked well in this game, though, Gerard. Don't underestimate yourself. I reckon you would have been one of the nice users of the ball. Look at that from Hansen. What a ripping contested mark.
He's proving a handful, isn't he, Lockie Hansen? He's going for his 3rd goal, and Yeah, St Kilda might have to put a permanent player on him rather than rotating a few through him.
Did you see that?
He has a look up.
Lockie's had a look at the scoreboard, just admire his own aerial work.
Pretty good mark, BT.
And he laid the eyes on it and went, yeah, I'm not bad. I'm really good.
Good on him.
Here he is, directly in front, needs to finish. Got a bit close to the man on the mark, but the kick is just offline and to the left.
Remember, Jerry, when we had... we showed some of his footage, some of his missed kicks about the start of the year, about round 6. Yep. He was kicking horribly. I know that one missed, but something's changed, hasn't it?
Yes, it was Boomer Harvey. I think he took him out and gave him a pre-shot routine. Not sure Boomer told him to look up at the scoreboard, but that's something he may want to drop.
Well, quarter time it is. North Melbourne by 7 points, surprisingly. 3-3-21, St Kilda 2-2-14. Good game, both sides having a crack. Need to tidy up the skills, but it's close. Looking forward to the second quarter on the other side of the break. 1 foot banana around the corner. They do it well these days. That's no exception. Lenny Hayes, 40 metres out, sends it on its way, and that is a goal. Saints have got a couple, likewise the Roos. Yeah, North Melbourne by 7 points here at quarter time over the Saints, 3-3-21 to 2-2-14. Hansen kicked a couple so far in this game. Let's have a look at some of the key stats so far. He played a quarter of football, kicking efficiency, a bit of a worry. You can see their effective kicking, Hurdy, not all that good.
No, and the Saints are very disappointing with their kicking, and I think also their pressure hasn't been as what they like. You can see tackles. Tackles is one thing, but pressure nowadays is so much more than tackles. But the inside 50s to St Kilda, 17-9. That's why they're able to have the dominance in the game early on.
What about Lockie Hansen, boys? He took an absolutely magnificent contested mark. You can see here, into the contest good. There, goes back to take the kick, and he says, how good was I? I might just have a little peep up there at the scoreboard and go, I was very, very impressive, says Hansen. Let's go down to Rowan Smith on the boundary.
Thanks, BT. Well, why wouldn't you look at that mark? It was fantastic. But I've been keeping a close eye on some midfield matchups, especially the Clinton Jones-Brent Harvey one. They've levelled it out at that quarter-time break with 7 each. And the other one that I wanted to have a look at was Lenny Hayes and Andrew Swallow, two very important players for each club's the in and under players. Lenny Hayes has had 12 and kicked the goal, and Andrew Swallow's just had the 4, so he's going to have to tighten up because Lenny Hayes is the best man on the ground at the moment, BT.
Good on you, Smithy. Hurdy, I want you to have a look at where the forward defence of the Saints. I just get the feeling, I may be getting this wrong, but they just appear to have dropped it back a line, which is almost conceding the first kick.
Well, I think a lot of St Kilda's game is based on this frontal pressure that they've been applying so well for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And either other sides like North Melbourne are working a way to get through, or they're not executing as well as they were in previous years. And I agree with you. I don't think they've got that pressure exactly to where it was, and it's probably not starting as early as it was starting in the ground. I agree with you.
The question is it by instruction that they've dropped it back 30, 40 metres, conceding that first kick, or is it because they're just not doing it as well as they were last year when they were just in your face?
I wouldn't have thought it was instruction. I would have thought they're just not doing it as well. The other thing they've got is having guys like Koziski up in that forward line. It's harder for those guys to put the pressure on because you can run through them a bit quicker.
Another game in Victoria today, of course, and the result there has a little bit of bearing on what's going on here as well. And you can see that the final scores there, Hawthorn have defeated Melbourne 99-78. So a good win for the Hawks, which keeps them in the 8 and means this mob, North Melbourne, if they win today, are still 2 points outside the 8. So it's now crucial that they win. And Nick Riewoldt will be looking to do something the opposite.
And Goddard, who played sort of that quarterback role deep in defence in the first quarter, has gone onto the wing or almost half forward in this quarter. So he's just a swingman. He can go wherever and influence the game where he needs to be.
Good Sunday afternoon crowd here in this twilight game in Melbourne. Roof shut. Been a very, very wintry couple of days for those viewing interstate here in Melbourne. A lot of rain has fallen and been very, very cold. I believe a lot of snow falling in the nearby hills and up in the snow resorts, Mount Buller, etc.
And no one near Goddard here, BT. You look at he's 15 metres in space. He's the one bloke on the ground I wouldn't be letting free. This is quite surprising.
It is bizarre. Just if we come back off the shot, you can see it. It's incredible.
Well, Daniel Wells is sitting behind the play, Hurdy in the hole.
As a result of that, Smithy.
Yeah, he's probably opposed to Goddard at the moment, BT.
Okay, here goes Graham, goes long and high on the head of Milne. Milne and McMahon. You can see the result of that contest. Let's have a look at this for you, Jared. As We will in a moment when we get a chance, as soon as this boundary throw-in takes place. Goddard comes into the picture here now, engages in the contest, but still no one on him.
No.
You can see him there. There he is. No player near him at the moment. Greenwood is involved in the contest. Here's the Saints. Opportunity. Snyder on his favoured side, and he doesn't disappoint.
Terrific snap by Snyder, but interesting, Smitty talked before about Wells sitting back. There was someone else sitting back. If you're going to sit back in that hole, you have to influence the play. And the ball was able to get through. So Goddard come up to the play here, and they're trying to sort out who plays and who swallows. Identified that Goddard's free, which is very, very dangerous. The ball comes out. I think it's through Lenny Hayes, gets it out. Montagna flicks it out, and then Schneider's able to slip through. Kangaroos players there who didn't have a man, who weren't able to influence the ball beat. So I think that's a crime if you are the free player in the back line.
Yep. Getting some really good shots of that here today. And Ferrito and Snyder, some sort of match up that.
There's that space I'm talking about. You see Edwards there just dragging his men on the other side of the ground. It's Warren. They will continue to try and separate the St Kilda defenders.
I think he's back, boys. That mark looked like his hamstring was no problem at all.
Hayes just pops it up to the one-on-one with Cozzy. Couldn't get it done. Grimer did well. The defending punch not to infringe. Crack in was McMahon. And now Peake. It's coming back. Paddles it in front. Keeps it alive to Graham. A little give and go. Looks inside. Nothing there. Has to retreat. That's the professional player these days.
Well, to get around that zone, it's all on this side of the ground. They all understand that they've got to go back, reset. If they can do it quickly, they'll go around it. If not, they'll try and slide it through, as we're seeing today.
Made it hard work for Geary then. Now Graham, who's one of the preferred kickers in the team. It's a high ball. McAvoy's the target. The pack arrives, though, over the back. Riewoldt was in the air, but recovered. There's Milne along the boundary line. This is his specialty. Tries the tumbler. The forward tumbler along the ground. Just let him down.
Normally better than that, Milne. Normally he's able to squeeze those ones through. See this kick here. Didn't quite hit the point of the ball. He didn't quite get the ball spinning right, so it hit the point to come back right.
Not Jared's favourite as he looks at me.
No, I think from that spot, that's fair enough. It's when you're directly in front, you try that one. Probably raises an eyebrow or three.
Yes.
The mark Riewoldt took on the 50-metre line about 2 or 3 minutes ago. It's the first time I've seen him attack it like that. Could be a season-defining moment for the St Kilda Footy Club, and Riewoldt really getting back to his body and the confidence in his body being right.
Well, when you come back from those big injuries, those little things along the way help you.
Here's the mark here. You just see, this is the Riewoldt of old, isn't it? Jumping, running, jumping over the top of someone. You can't do that with a bad hamstring.
Swallow. Back half.
Herdy, you said coming in, the Kangaroos had to win stoppages. The moment they're getting double 12-6. They're not trailing on the scoreboard, but the Saints have got them covered in that area.
Yeah, and I think that the Saints had the reason that they're able to stay in the game at the moment, the Kangaroos, I'll let the callers speak to.
Goddard goes high. Kazitsky almost gobbled that one up and got a hand on it, couldn't finish it off. Grimer was under some pressure. He threw it out the back door. So did Greenwood. Good pressure here at the moment. The Saints lock it in.
The reason is that there's so many Kangaroos back, or North Melbourne players back in that defensive 50, that obviously St Kilda getting into the 50 more, but they're able to block it out. So a free kick paid to North Melbourne. Well, we almost reversed it, I reckon, just then.
Well, McMahon's got it, but I tell you what, Lee Montagna does well here to knock it to Riewoldt, but he's got to stop diving. For sure, Kazitsky in trouble. Riewoldt keeps it alive. That's a hamstring tester as well. And over the top, it'll be a free to the Roos. I'm just reckon that perhaps he goes down a little too easy, Montagna.
Well, Lenny Hayes is just, I know he's given Wells one, but there's a lot of going on between Hayes and Wells off the ball. It's a bit of a spiteful match at the moment, boys.
Grimer dragged over the line in the Snyder tackle. It is, James, and the supporters are just as fanatical without the physical aggression. And there's a blood rule here. I think Montagna will be asked to come from the ground. He quizzes the umpire, and now the Roos go to him. Pratt's first there and puts him down. So just starting to erupt. The umpires can't go to play on here because it's a blood rule. And Milne and Greenwood at it. So you can see how confusing it is for the umpires with all that chitter-chatter going on. Montaña's come off with a bit of a split above the eye.
So can a free kick be paid now with the blood rule?
Don't know the answer to that. I would imagine yes.
Right.
But they would have to wait for him to come off the ground and be replaced. Here's Snyder through some traffic. Did well. The dance was good. The give and go was a little hot. Pratt tries to barge his way out. Cops some attention. Riewoldt the tackle. It's on here. Big boy McAvoy stood up in there. Swallows got to go. Picked up by Milne. Snap around the body. Good ball. Out of the heavy traffic. St Kilda have a win.
And that is a great goal. That's a goal under pressure and didn't really even sight the goals. Picks it up 40 metres out. Maybe a quick look with one eye and then bang. And Milne's going to make sure he gives the North Melbourne players the middle of that. You see the build-up. Great defensive pressure from St Kilda. Kept the ball in their 50-metre line. Milne stays at play. He didn't even look at the goals then, BT. He just put it on his boot. And he is so good around goals. It might just fire up Milne, and it's not what North Melbourne want for Stephen Milne to be fired up, because when he is, he can be very, very dangerous.
Tackles inside 50, 10-1 in favour of the Saints, and there's Montaña getting some work done. Smithy, quite a lot of blood there, Smithy.
Yeah, there definitely is. They're split right above that right eye, BT, but we all know that the St Kilda medical staff love strapping their players up like mummies, so he certainly looks like one now. They're just changing his jumper through the blood rule.
McMahon, in his attempts to hit the ball there, I think he was quite happy with both the hit of the ball and the hit of Montaña's head there.
Probably a free kick there.
It's the perfect one where he can disguise it magnificently.
It was interesting listening to Nick Riewoldt, though, question about Daniel Pratt.
Yeah, watch Daniel Pratt.
I assumed it must have been Daniel Pratt that clipped Lee Montaña, but as we just saw, it wasn't.
Yeah. Some contact. Players getting a little shirty here at the moment. Here's Harvey in the middle. Where's he go? Just kicks it in the end to a contest. Edwards in front, did well to hold his position. Can they hold it in there, the Roos? McMahon the bump rather than the tackle. Left Del Santo standing. Graham got back into the field of play, or did he? Fisher, Blake, Wilt, they're under pressure here. And the smother in the end locks it in by Adams.
Good forward pressure by the Kangaroos, though. They are really pushing up hard on the St Kilda players, and now they're going to play a free kick.
Out in the full it was in the end.
What North Melbourne did well there is St Kilda were trying to get it out the other side, but they had it defended out the other side as well. Yes, down the line where they had it defended, but they're trying to go across the other side, but North Melbourne players playing that outrighter role and not letting it out.
Mark over the back taken by Thompson. So both goals in the second quarter with the Saints. Thompson goes long and deep. Gee, getting an early run at it was Thomas infringing. Hand in the back and went way too early. As you can see here.
It's mistimed it, didn't it?
Yep. Not good when the player in front sometimes collapses either, when you expect them to stand up and give you an extra little lift.
You feel any pressure, BT, the knees go wobbly.
Here's Gilbert. Hemmed in as Jones. Looks to go wide. Eddie. Stanley.
We'll have a look at Stanley here in the ruck at centre bounces, or has he got his big man McAvoy there as well? But because generally it's the inexperienced players struggle at the boundary throw-ins.
He's there.
Stanley and Kazitsky, they're both there and they both
missed it
in each other's way. There's Thompson. The brush. Darlett was there, went with the hand rather than the body. Dump in the end by the Saints. Stanley involved. There's Del Santo. Glides onto his left. The centering kick. It wasn't great. It was in the middle of two Saints, but it's good enough. Blake now threading the needle. McWalter on the charge. Too far out to score now. Cozzy comes out to the fat side. He just ignores that. I wonder whether over time they start to lose confidence in kicking it in the Cozzy direction. There's Graham, tried to pinpoint it. It was always going to be cut off.
The kick at Cozzy deep was a better option than that one, BT.
Yep.
It didn't matter whether he's going to mark it or not, but you bring it to the ground 15 metres out from goal and you've got an opportunity instead of turning it over the 50-metre line.
Wilson had his kick smothered in mid-air by Graham, who's looking for the give and go that didn't eventuate.
It's interesting he was going to go to St Kilda anyway, because when he looked down, Boomer Harvey changed the direction of his lead.
There's the little bullet from Gilbert to Stanley. In the middle, gave it to Gilbert probably when he shouldn't have. And now he's got a spot of bother because they hustle it off him. Warren, handball sloppy. Hansen had to go to ground to get it. Cost him a vital second or step or two. And a free kick will go the way of St Kilda.
It's an interesting point to raise. We saw Gilbert run past an inexperienced player calling for the footy. To me, Gilbert shouldn't have called. I know Stanley, if it was an experienced player, he can assess. But I think in this day and age, it's going that quick. You have to make the decision. You've got the play in front of you, and you shouldn't have called for the receive. And
that's what Collingwood do better than any other team in the competition at the moment, I reckon. Only call for it when they're in a position to receive. Look at that. You talk about the hamstring. Completely forgotten with what we've seen today.
Look, it hasn't been his greatest day. I mean, he hasn't got himself in the game as he would have liked so far, but there's probably been 4 or 5 efforts. And this one, that's the Nick Riewoldt of old, or pre the hamstring injury. There's been a couple of efforts so far today where you say his body's back, and now it's just about a bit more game time to get the flow of the game. He's physically looking sensational.
A little left to right in this kick, perhaps, as Riewoldt comes in, and a little right to left in it, he says. He likes his work, and that is the Nick Riewoldt of old.
Yeah, the right to left, BT. You don't see it very often out of that pocket. The ball moved right to left, but this one went against the trend. You've got to love to see champion players like Nick Riewoldt come back into form. So we see the ball here kicked in by Blake, and Riewoldt just reads it, comes across the front of the pack.
Gee, that's good.
And pushed and everything, and takes a fantastic mark. And those hands, that was never going out.
That was a great sign. I think you're spot on, Hurdy. That's as good as we've seen him look since his comeback.
7 touches, 4 marks, 1 goal, 2 for the St Kilda superstar, Riewoldt.
And as good as a strike as I think we've seen him do. He really did centre that footy. Had a bit of draw on it.
11-point lead, the Saints. Things looking up. Kicked 3 in a row here in the second. And the Roos' attention to detail just starting to wane a little. Swallow a high ball, and look at the St Kilda defenders pile up off the ground. They're there in numbers, Geary and Blake. Milne pushing deep as well. Here's the speedster. Goddard slid it to Hayes. What a magnificent step from Lenny. Look at the kick to Riewoldt around the corner. This is perfect play from the Saints, only for the peak finish. Unbelievable stuff from St Kilda.
That was great play by St Kilda. Great run by Goddard to get it out, but there's a missed tackle, a North Melbourne player. I'm pretty sure it was Garland who missed the tackle on Lenny Hayes in that step. As we see the ball come out, Goddard get the ball, get it to Hayes, and Hayes, I think that tackle has to be made, Jared, because that tackle gets missed, and that's where this gets opened up.
Oh, you're right. The tackle has to be made, but I think we've just seen one of the best sidesteps of the year. It was just pure magic from Lenny.
Put it the other way. Would Lenny have made the tackle?
Look, you're probably right, but it still was just midfield genius from...
Forget about the defensive stuff, Hurdy. Let's look at the sliding sidestep.
Oh, it was sensational, and sensational play out of St Kilda's backline. And that's as exciting. The last 5 minutes, the last 3 minutes from the Riewoldt mark and goal to that.
It's a throw.
It's exciting. I've seen St Kilda play in a while.
Unsighted there, the umpire, Jared. You're right, it was. By the way, Roos haven't scored this quarter. The Saints have kicked 4 straight goals. And really getting on top now. And we're starting to see the rise of Nick Riewoldt in this quarter. And that's a worry for all of these men here.
Well, they started so promisingly, and yet they haven't been able to go up a notch. St Kilda have improved their kicking efficiency, and Nick Riewoldt has improved everything.
Gilbert sometimes confuses himself. He has only got a left foot. That was obvious there, wasn't it? Fisher. Blake.
They're setting up again. They're setting a run again.
Graham can go over the top to McWalter. Look at the run of Blake again. Here he comes, a searching ball. He's not a goal kicker. The kick was a little fierce for Riewoldt on that occasion. And it'll go over the line.
Almost too Riewoldt conscious that time for mine. Hurdy wasn't really on. It was only a half chance. Wasn't his finest kick either, Jason Blake. Good running though, isn't it? A sign of St Kilda at their best when you're getting Blake taking shots forward of the centre.
It's a sign of St Kilda running, but what North Melbourne were doing in the first quarter is they weren't letting St Kilda run like that. It's a sign that North Melbourne is dropping off in their tackling defensive pressure.
There's Peak, a real opportunity to score here, the Saints. They've kicked 4 in 13 minutes, and one of the things we've been worried about the Saints is whether they can score quickly. They're doing it here now.
Jared, you talked about St Kilda's run. Why they're so dangerous is that they're actually running hard through the corridor and using the ball through the corridor. Those last 2 entries inside 50 have all been generated through winning the ball down back and then running the ball through the corridor.
Rowan Smith all over it down there, spot on, as Rawlings wanting to slow the tempo. Risky kick, made it look better than perhaps it was there, right.
Become very stagnant, the Kangaroos. Just not getting any run whatsoever.
Rawlings looks in frustration as a result of that, Jared.
Yep.
Yeah, they're taking risks in that first quarter, weren't they? Taking risks, trying to get it out the other side. They made a couple of mistakes, but what it did, it created play for them.
There's a risk, and it's a fine kick.
Ryan did well. He actually saw McIntosh at the front and kept it in front there of the contest. It was well done in the end. I was bowling our Fox Sports cameraman over, who was perched on the chair there, the Warren and Fisher combination.
Ruck battle so far. McIntosh has won 11 and 4 to advantage. McAvoy 7, none to advantage.
McIntosh, here he is. There's 1 to advantage, and this is Cunnington. The run of Wells impressive through the middle.
Handball impressive.
It was the kick to Thomas, who had trouble getting away from Gilbert. He keeps his feet. Can he stop it going out? He does. What magic has he got now? He's got one of those and then one of these.
A nice goal. Would have been it was a great little step on the boundary line as he tries to throw a little punch there. But here's the shot at goal, which wasn't as he would have liked, but it was a great step to create that space.
What about the fans on the fence, depending on who they support? Yeah. Their different reactions.
Great sign there for the Kangaroos, young Cunnington. That handball in the middle of the ground was first class.
Excellent.
He needs to improve his foot skills, but his handball is top class.
Montagna with a chiselling ball off the outside of the boot.
He must have seen that late.
Incredible skill.
Great kick.
Jones, high ball. Here they come. In front, the big boy Cozzy couldn't quite get set on it. Love to see him mark that ball. There's McMahon around the corner. I'm sure the Kazitsky family up there in Brocklesby will be watching this game here today. And you see Wells doing his work in the middle of the ground. Kick goes forward, Blake with a punch away. Here come the Roos. Rawlings lines it up. Wilt. Graham just coming in like a steam train. There's big boy McAvoy. Got it out to Goddard. And now the smooth move to Del Santo on his left side. Oh boy, he's messed this up. 2.99 games. Harvey goes, thank you very much. Inside ball, can they mark it? Hanson, out position, over the back. What do we got? Just a rushing Gilbert, who just sensationally drills it down the throat of Goddard.
They're out on the other side if they can get it across.
And they're going to, because this man here won't let you down. The stepper. Got it to Fisher.
Is it Lenny Hayes, the stepper?
Yes, it used to be Milne, but Hayes today has had one of the best I've seen. But you chose to ignore, James Hird. Montagna, I thought it was some of the best work I've seen. You were like that. But not wanting to compliment someone else. Here's McWalder. Gives it off. Only joking, James. Long ball from Snyder. Mark taken deep. St Kilda rampaging at the moment. And this man has been sensational.
It's a great mark, but one of them should have called the other one in, shouldn't they? BT, McAvoy and Kazitsky, they both almost spoiled each other.
They should have. In the end, Cozzy's got it. And the umpire clearing the 5-metre perimeters. We have a blood boy with big boy McAvoy.
And Cozzy's battled his own man.
And as Cozzy steps to the line, comes in around the corner, thought it well and did it well. So that'll help him 5 in a row for the Saints.
Good conversion. And a great mark from Justin Kazitsky, who has shown some signs today. And this was one of the better ones.
See this kick go over the top. I suppose they both got their eye on the ball and going for the mark. You'd hate to see that spoiled. But one of the encouraging things is both players, eyes only for the ball.
It's a good grab.
It is a very good grab. I think North Melbourne's pressure has dropped off. Gerard, I think that one of the things they did very well in the first quarter is pressurise St Kilda. When it went into the North Melbourne forward line, they kept it in there. You just see St Kilda now running through the lines, breaking some tackles, getting it out the other side of the ground. That's where Brad Scott will want to work his team over at half-time and say, right, we're going to get back to that pressure we had in the first quarter to get ourselves back into the game.
5 goals straight. It's a pretty bad sign at the moment.
It is. Ferrito. Right. And now Fisher.
And they're away again.
They are. They're out of here. Hayes. Here comes Riewoldt searching up the middle, but Hayes went to ground.
Tackles inside 50 is a sign of this pressure. The Saints have had 15 and Kangaroos only 1.
Well done in the end by Farron Ray.
Just not getting the footy though, the Kangaroos. They've only had 40 possessions. The Saints are near on 100.
Just the one tackle, you said?
Inside 50.
Right. Opportunity out wide for Mill. Hands the ball back to the boundary umpire. And there's McAvoy getting some attention. Stop that flow of blood. This may well be the slinger throwing this one into play. No, it's not. It's the conventional boundary umpire. McIntosh just pushes Stanley out of the way. Got rid of him pretty easily. Geary and Graham, and now got up. Around the corner, pack forms. Riewoldt in there.
Well, Hurdy, do they rethink the Goddard situation, just allowing him to just cruise, and Del Sando's cruising around as well with only a run-width roll against him?
What about that there, Gerard? Riewoldt's on the ground and Thompson's wanting to do a bit of work on him. We saw it earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the things that St Kilda are about to do is Goddard is moved more into the game rather than just sitting as deep. And North Melbourne haven't switched on the fact that he was sitting deep, they left him alone. Now he's playing around the middle of the ground, half forward.
BT, you've got your wish, the umpire onto it.
Well, there's something going on off the ball, and Thompson has infringed against Riewoldt as a result of the incident we saw on the ground here. You can see Riewoldt hurts himself there. Thompson stands on top of him, doesn't let him up, and tries to get him out of the way, and Thompson says, come on, get up, and then something after this, after we cut away, resulted in a free kick being given to this man here, who's going to drive out. I think a hold of the jumper it was, and Riewoldt misses the attempt. We think this is what happened here. As you can see Thompson holding, and then just gives him a little left-handed whack to the guts and a bit of a hold. Always going to be onto you after the perhaps missed one.
Not a lot in it, BT.
No, there's not.
Wouldn't mind a few of those in your career, BT, that 30 metres out from goal.
That's true. It's a high ball, Fisher. Edwards to Bastanak, and now Welch.
What I'm liking about Reece Stanley is the way he's working as a ruckman, covering off for a Fisher who runs up to the ground, and then Stanley pushes to that centre-half back position.
Gilbert, composure needed here. Fisher did well. Through the man, gave it to Montagna. Here's Jones, goes forward, got the free man out of here, the Saints, and Riewoldt did well to hold Thompson out of the way and disguise that, and allow the mark for Eddie.
And Gilbert shouldn't have been able to take that mark. He sort of come from 3 back, taking the mark in a pack of players. As you see Gilbert's mark, Wright's probably got to bring the ball to ground. No, Gilbert's got the flow at the run of the play, but he's got to make sure it comes to ground, because that turnover then sets up this shot at goal.
It's Eddie for 6 St Kilda goals in a row. 35 metres out, kick on the way, and he nurses it through. St Kilda 6 in a row with 4.5 minutes remaining in the second. Hit it by an even 30 points.
Well, it's been a great response by the Saints to a challenge from North Melbourne. They've had historically this year real trouble with the top 4 sides, being competitive for periods of the time and then just at times being blown away. Now they're going to have a real, I think, straight heart-to-heart at half-time, Hurdy, because this is their final chance, you suspect, to get it right. They need to go back and reassert themselves in the second half, not just let this match and this year just peter out.
Yeah, no, they've been outplayed in this quarter, definitely. The pressure of St Kilda has turned the ball over, and their goals from turnovers, really St Kilda have had that advantage over North Melbourne. But I just don't think they've had the pressure around the ball that they had in that first quarter where they won the quarter.
Disposals this quarter, 112 to 53 for the Saints. And here's a couple more.
It's another turnover in the middle of the ground where you just can't afford to turn the ball over, because it will result in an inside 50.
Starting to fall apart now for the Roos. Geary Hammers this one to Riewoldt on the lead.
And that'll be, if Riewoldt kicks that, that'll be St Kilda's 8th goal from a turnover, whereas the Kangaroos have only kicked 2. And you can't afford to turn the ball over, Jared, in the middle of the ground like that, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, it was poor stuff, and it's the reason why they're about to kick 7 in a row.
1 goal 3 for this man, Riewoldt. But he has looked very much on top of things here today. This one's pretty well dead in front, and he doesn't let down. 2 goals 3 for Riewoldt, 7 in a row.
Well, that is a magnificent kick. If you could centre them as well as that every time you shot at goal, you'd be pretty happy with the result. He has just speared that one through the centre of the sticks. And there's the turnover you're talking about. Graham, they're just playing at the present time. Pressure nowhere near what it was. You can just see there in the body language. It's half-hearted stuff, and that's why it has dropped off. It's very much.
I mean, not one of those possessions had pressure on them, did they? Someone coming on them, someone trying to cut their vision out. It was just movement through the middle of the ground, and St Kilda are too skillful to put 3/4 pressure on instead of full pressure.
Yeah, they're in the corrupt mode rather than the drag them down and ship them out mode.
7 goals in 25 minutes for a very impressive St Kilda team in this second quarter. Took a while to get their eye in, but they're up and running now, and facets really starting to come together that perhaps haven't been together for a while. Snyder, really good effort to win that ball. Back and the composure to go inside to Fisher, who was looking to slide the handball. Now they've got it in a good position.
19th possession this will be for Goddard. They've got to put a bit of time into him in the second half.
Looking forward over potentially the next 6 weeks for the Saints. They're going to be focused a lot on their bottom 6, bottom 7 players. And I think one of them, Jared Geary, is showing some really good signs today, winning some ball. Here he is on screen and making good decisions.
Game 42 for Geary. So very much early in his career. There's the spread of the players.
Well, I'm excited, Jared, to come watch St Kilda play. Their bottom 6 is really important. I'm excited again because you can come knowing that Nick Riewoldt is back to the form or the physical capability he used to be. I just look forward to watching a guy at the peak of his talents again.
There's Eddie. Now Riewoldt is deep here at the moment. Opportunity for Goddard short. It's going in the Riewoldt direction. Here he comes now. Riewoldt across the pack. A couple of bites at it. Almost got hold of it. Grimer now. Pratt bundling in, and a free kick against Peak. I think it'll go the Roos way.
A real look at it, Smithy. Nathan Grimer, you mentioned him early in the piece. Here he is with the footy, but his man is really dominating, and he is going to have to just reset the clock at half time.
Yeah, Jared, as I spoke about, he's been talked about as an All-Australian backman this year. He's had a terrific year, but don't worry, Nick Riewoldt, he looks in scintillating form as we speak now in this first half.
2 goals, 6 score involvements from his 10 possessions.
Ryan to Harvey, loose off hands, and Hardy made it work quickly. McIntosh back inside. Adams was good. Gave Harvey an opportunity. One bounce inside 50. Beautiful team play from Brent Harvey. Got it to Hansen. Could have easily got it for home. Pulled the kick with great poise when he was running flat out. And Hansen, as a result, has an opportunity to kick the 3rd goal. They only have the 2 goal kickers at the moment in amongst their 3.
Yep.
And Hansen will make it 3 goals, you would think, from here, and he does. Their first of this second quarter with just under a minute remaining in it.
And he's had limited opportunities this quarter, BT Hansen, but look, he's playing a pretty good game considering the amount of ball and the quality of ball that's coming into him. 3 goals, 6 score involvements. It's a terrific game so far from a side that this quarter has been well and truly outplayed. North Melbourne, in 50 seconds, there's probably a chance for another goal, but it gives them a little bit of encouragement. 5 goals down going into half-time, but Jared, they need to do 2 things. They need to start getting their hands on the ball around the contest and in the clearances, but also put some pressure on St Kilda to stop them when they turn the ball over. You got Goddard, you got Graham, if you have Graham, Goddard, Gilbert, and Fisher get in the hands of the ball, having 14 or 15 disposals or over, I don't think you're going to be able to beat them.
They're going to get belted.
Back in the middle we go.
I think that goal actually gives them some idea at half-time. Well, this is what happens if you run, and this is what happens if you commit and get through the lines.
What about this? Brent Harvey, of course, in his 299th game here. They wouldn't be happy to see his banner high in the rafters here as back to front. They've just got it around the wrong way. I don't know whether they wanted to show the whole arena here, James, or just those up in the back row.
There's about 15 people at the back there.
Yep.
You can see the prophets when maybe that's his family. Maybe that's where his family sit, BT.
I don't know who's responsible for putting the banners up there, but gee, he's the 299 gamer. At least face him towards the audience. Up there, back to front, Boomer. He wouldn't be happy with that. Just one of those unusual things I spotted up there, Hurdy, but
you did get here early.
Probably won't have a great significant effect on the game, I wouldn't have thought. McMahon now, Garlett.
Good hands.
It was indeed. Bastanak to finish. That's a good ball. Swallow.
Now this is sensational running. This is almost the best passage of play for the Kangaroos today. Swallow would have started in the middle. He just charged forward. There's a really good handball from Garlett, who looked inside to set this up. Let's have a look at it. There's McMahon. Tumbling handball. Hits a target, fortunately. And that handball in there gave them an opportunity. And that's how you beat Lenny Hayes. You get forward, you run hard, and hopefully you kick a goal.
Swallow, certainly from here, he'd have to beat. Well, he was, but he's missed it. So 4 goals, 5 for the Roos in the game so far, and that's a bad miss, but a couple of opportunities late there for the Roos, and they trail St Kilda by 29 points at the main break. We'll be back with Jared and James on the other side of the break to sum up the first half of footy. Wasn't this interesting? Half-time, game's about to start to get the second half underway. James Hurd, what's going on here with Nick Riewoldt?
Yeah, watching Nick Riewoldt at half-time, it's probably nothing, and sometimes you get little niggles that you can run at and just want to make sure, just want to test it. But he had a few runs around, talked to the physio, I think, there, and just say, you know, I think it's all right, I'm not sure it's all right. It could be anything. Could be a muscle soreness of the buttock, could be hamstring, could be the groin, but he did a lot of extra running and a bit of ball work when the team was just standing around.
It's not a warm-up thing, it's definitely a test thing because it's medical staff involved.
Yeah, so look, sometimes you can just be sore and just want to make sure that you can go flat out and it's all right, and I think that he was pretty happy, and the physios and the coaching staff are pretty happy. But just keep an eye for Nick Riewoldt and see if he's got the run that he had in the first half, because we know how well he played in that first half.
Indeed we do. Second half about to get underway here. The Saints by 29 points had a fantastic 7-goal-to-1 second quarter, and they'll be looking to do that again. The Roos, on the other hand, with the other results the way they've panned out, have to win today, otherwise they are 6 points out of the final 8 race. Cozzy has done some good things today as well. Out of the middle we go, and the Roos through Swallow get the ball forward. Poor handball to right. It was from, I think, Harding.
It's a poor decision too, because it had to be an absolutely perfect handball to really, and him to get some space.
Harvey.
We've got Todd Goldstein in the square, and he's up against Blake. He's got about 8 centimetres on Blake.
Yeah,
Why try and handball through a wall when he's one-on-one?
Totally agree, Jared. And that's where decision-making comes down in a game of football, doesn't it? Or the best players make those right decisions at split second.
There he is, the big fellow, and what a find they've got there, the Kangaroos, in this bloke. I think he was available in the draft. They have 16 clubs chasing him.
You reckon he's a beauty, Jared?
Yeah, he's a real find. One of the best young ruckmen in the game at the present time, and no limit to his upside at the moment.
Harvey's got himself a free here. Casually going back, trying to creep the angle a little. The umpire says come around, and I reckon he stole a half a metre off the umpire. Then he got sick of asking him to come around. They give up in the end, don't they, James?
They do, and Brent Harvey's one of the best at just sneaking a little bit extra.
They're sort of midway between boomerang and just a straight drop punt. Looks like he's going to drop punt.
300th game coming up next week, of course, as Harvey comes in, and that's a twilight game over there in Perth, and that one there has missed. Just want to ask you, Hurdy, did you ever give any thought, and I just want a definite answer here. It's a milestone game coming. It'd be nice to play it in Melbourne where all the supporters are. As a player, you've played a lot of these milestone games, James. Do you think about perhaps missing one to get that one at home or not?
No, but I suppose you do think about how many kids you're going to take out in the ground with you, BT, because I know you love the kids out in the ground, those milestones games. Is 300 enough to take his kids out?
He can do whatever he wants for 300,
okay.
And 300 is the pass mark for me. Even 250 will get you there. Here's Geary. I'm softening a little. There's Milne. It's an occupational health and safety to have kids on the ground, of course. Issue. Here's Wells at the back. Through a bit of traffic.
Did your kids go running for the Collingwood banner?
Didn't know they did that. Must have been my wife that organised it. Here's a long ball for the Saints. Picked up by Gilbert. And just pulls the trigger and goes wide. Bit of kick-to-kick going on here at the moment.
Yeah, the second half hasn't really started, has it?
No.
Players aren't going in, but the goal will sort that out.
Milne sees something in the middle that he likes in the way of Graham, and Graham trying to draw the player and get him committed and put McWalter under enormous pressure. Rawlings and McMahon combining well. Pratt has to do a Huey and did not have clean hands at the ground. Picked up by Jones. Here comes Snyder.
I will say, when St Kilda came out on the ground, they did a very, very sharp warm-up at the start of the second half. They moved the ball. They did some really quick sprints. North Melbourne seemed to be going a little bit slower in their speed, and at least reflected in competitive parts of the game like this with Daniel Pratt when he just missed that ball totally.
He got a bad knee in the buttock as well, which isn't going to help him.
And he wants to stay up there, though. The medical staff have rushed to him, and he says, no, I'm staying on. He's a pretty tough nut. Here's Adam Snyder, who's a sharp shooter. Just kicked the one today. Steps to the line here at the Coventry southern end of this indoor arena on a Sunday afternoon. And way offline from Snyder. In fact, touched off hands over the line.
Had a good year, Adam Snyder. Been one of the Saints' best through the good times and a few troubled times.
Given them another dimension with Milne up there, hasn't he?
Yep.
Something just a little different. Pratt through traffic. Stolen Riewoldt. Left foot tested here.
A fair bit of play, and unlucky not kicked the goal. They actually went up in the ruck with a pre-organised hit down to Milne and then followed it up with that kick for goal. Would have been a very spectacular goal.
Here's Harding. Short little kick, and this man here, Thomas, or is it Adams? It's Adams. And North Melbourne just getting a feel of the ball in their back half here. They've turned the ball over a number of times in this situation today. Just to kick down the line is Grimer, and Warren getting one in the back.
I think those turnovers have got in their head a bit, BT, because Frito was on a 45-degree kick, which was a bit of a risky kick, but if it had have come off, it would have taken the game and opened up the game for North Melbourne, but they've gone back in the shells a bit with their disposal, not wanting to make the mistakes they made in that second quarter.
This guy's been pretty good today, Hansen. Took 3 goals, and really there's only been he and Wright, the 2 goal kickers, in amongst their 4. Shipping ball to the middle. Now can they conjure something out of this? The wide ball to Greenwood. Greenwood's got time in his non-preferred side. Slips it nicely to Edwards. And Edwards marks inside 50. Not hard appealing for the free off the ball.
Nice play by Warren, Jared, just to get in there and stop Goddard getting to it. He probably wouldn't have got to it anyway. But putting his body between the marker and the ball was a good play.
He's been a really interesting player, Aaron Edwards. Some people are just full forwards, and I reckon this guy is a full forward. We've seen him up the ground, doesn't make great decisions, but he knows how to mark, he knows how to lead, and he knows how to kick.
And he does, and he shows that there, because that one just goes like an arrow, straight.
You're saying just keep it simple, Jared?
Well, I think because of his size, most coaches that have been in charge of the Kangaroos have tried to get a bigger body in there. But this bloke, the game is simplified for him when he is...
Smart play by Warren here, just getting in there, making sure Goddard couldn't get to the contest.
When there's no real decisions to be made, and he's just deep, and it's see ball, get ball, see the goals, kick the goals, he's a pretty valuable player. And yet he hasn't been able to, I guess, cement that spot there for enough weeks of the year to, I guess, guarantee him a spot every week.
Started better here, the Roos. They've kicked the first goal of this quarter. 4 inside 50s to 1 for the Saints. And remember, they missed that shot just on the half-time break as McAvoy's been forced to come off the ground here with the blood rule. Now, the blood rule says if you have flowing blood, you must come from the ground. Now, I can't see any flowing blood there at all. If it is any blood that has dried up or on the jumper or coming through the bandage, they get the option to tidy it up on the ground. And I want to know why he's been asked to go from the ground if it's not flowing.
Must be just dribbling out under that bandage. Just going back to the full forwards, BT. Ben McKinlow's another one. You must have worked with plenty that are marginally undersized, and yet they just play best out of the square.
Absolutely, it's a feel thing. It's a thing. I reckon full forwards often, Jared, want everybody in front of them. They like to see the play in front of them. Some players can only play with all of the players in front of them, and I know myself, I liked that feel to know that I knew where everyone was. Not that you're scared, it's just that you like him in front.
Well, playing with Matthew Lloyd, he was exactly like that. He always wanted to be that last man back, and because he wanted to be able to actually move backwards if on the lead as well.
Bad news here for the Rouge as Swallows being escorted off the ground by the North Melbourne club doctor, Con Metropolis.
I think sometimes it's size that dictates, oh, well, you should be able to play up in the half-forward line, but it's somehow not that easy.
Snyder, no. And I agree with you. Those guys, as we see Swallow being assessed there by Con.
You reckon?
Looks like they're just touching that in a very gingerly fashion, doesn't it?
Yeah, BT, just a couple of minutes ago, copped a knock right to the ribs, so they're just checking that out now.
On top of that, down there is Rowan Smith. There is McIntosh handballing out in the direction of that interchange area. Milne is corralled on the boundary line. See how the defenders don't go in, they just corral, so they're not going to be beaten and gone past. Fisher now. So the Saints just looking to regain some composure here early in this third, because North have just owned the quarter to date. Just give everyone a touch of the ball and a feel and get them back into fashion here as Wilk just sends it sideways.
It's interesting, the old corralling debate. I think corralling is probably has its place, and we're seeing that at the present time. But you look at the top end, Collingwood corral, but they also tackle hard. They bring you down. And when St Kilda at their best, they also corral, but they also have another bloke just dragging you down at the same time.
Remember Fremantle early in the year? They were just attacking the ball handler rather than corralling.
The skills are too good now to corral. I think you can pinpoint too many passes if you corral too much.
Go around it.
Gilbert goes long, but McIntosh takes a nice defensive mark.
Here's a jump for Wells.
Goes up, tries to flick it on. Harvey went past it. Now Blake, who's been impressive. Jones, inside ball stolen by Gilbert. Gilbert goes inside 50. Good ball, Riewoldt.
And good decision from Stanley. He read it pretty well, assessed it. And that's just top locks play from the Saints. Under not a lot of pressure.
Surely 50 metres. Ferrito's just walking. I reckon Riewoldt has walked towards Ferrito to get the 50.
So he says it's inside the protected area, he said, so that's the reason for the 50. He says he was trying to go around. Riewoldt kicks the goal. Nick Riewoldt has 3. The Saints get their first of the second half, and Ferrito is not a happy man.
No, it'll be interesting to watch this again. We see the movement of the ball, and terrific kick comes in from Gilbert. Spot gives Riewoldt the space, too much space. I mean, there's too many people back there for the Kangaroos. Interesting decision, Jared, on that.
Well, he's gone inside his personal space, but Riewoldt was in no way ready to.
But how much time do you give someone to get out of that
actually
space?
moved into that space a bit.
That's a contentious one, I reckon.
I mean, to me, common sense dictates that if the bloke is preparing to shoot for goal and you go inside his personal space, then it's a 50, but not when he's just walking back.
That's the word, isn't it? It's such a technical part of the game. With common sense, it doesn't have any bearing on the game at all. That where Ferrito was doesn't have any bearing. Riewoldt walks into the space. I just can't see that.
Can feel a little AFL couch issue just there in that one coming on a Monday night, of course. Goddard now.
The way Riewoldt went for that, Riewoldt going for every one of his marks as though it's the last mark he's ever going to take. It's almost like he's trying to play himself into great form because he knows how big a final season is coming up.
Riewoldt again couldn't quite get hold of the Montagna ball. McQuarter has stolen it, gives it off with a bit of a no-looker. Milne around the corner with a high ball, coming back won't be enough.
Well, he's an important player for them. McQuarter was dropped a few weeks ago. He hasn't really gone up to the next level as they were hoping, and there's the one you're talking about. Roo was just fishing for the 50.
I think Fredo was just walking in his own space.
Yeah,
just walking get out of space, but oh well.
Grimer had his hands full today. Grimer goes down the line. Here's Hansen and Stanley in front. Stands tall and marks.
So the first quarter, North Melbourne trying to get the ball across the other side of the ground and get it round the St Kilda zone. That was almost a lazy kick. Just said, right, I'll just kick it up the line and let my teammates worry about it up the other end of the ground.
52. He's done it again, Lockie Hansen.
And that's down the ground. That's down the ground against Hansen.
He just won't learn.
And that will be a resultant free directly in front. Now, Nick Riewoldt is coming off the ground. It's his kick. It is actually his kick, but he was coming off the ground. And James...
The physio's talking to him as he's coming off the ground.
Yep. So this is very interesting. Riewoldt is called back to take the kick. He was heading to the bench, and that's not something he's done in this game. It was a medical instruction. So Riewoldt obviously feeling he's not 100%. Will line up for his 4th goal here. He'll kick the goal. Yes, he does. He says to his mate, well done.
Looks like he's running pretty well, though, BT.
He's striding off the ground without any problem. So whether this is a rest or a medical issue, we'll monitor it. But 4 goals to Nick Riewoldt.
Well, it's going to be interesting to just see what happens here. He'll probably lie down, get a bit of a poke and a prod, but doesn't appear to be anything too debilitating.
And always.
And the issue is, does he go down to the...
Here's the free kick, the down the ground free kick, and I don't know, Jared, is there a lot in that?
Well, it's the rules. It's a 50-metre penalty for being a deal afterwards. I mean, that's dumb.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Riewoldt on the bench taking a spell, and he looks pretty much okay. So consecutive goals to him for goals 3 and 4. The Saints by a game-high margin, 36 points here at the moment. Down the middle, Rawlings and Wells. Wells doing well to fend off the Snyder tackle. Got back to his feet, was able to recover. Cunnington now. Ferrito. He's in a bit of trouble. Shifts the heat somewhere else. Cunnington did well.
Did very well. He's been impressive at times.
He was. See him give him the instruction. Then he was the one that looked the most composed in that chain of handballs then.
He's a pretty sharp player. He's really highly regarded at junior level.
There's McMahon. A nice ball to Thomas. Thomas wheels around on that left and rockets one into Hansen, who had a great set of jukes.
Great hands.
You're just seeing this passage of play, how much talent this kid's got, and yet he keeps on undermining the good work he does at one end by being a goose at the other.
Looked up at the screen again.
Well, that's a test down there, Smithy, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly testing out that left hamstring, BT. So I don't think they're too concerned. He just shook his head and said, I'm okay.
Well, 13 of St Kilda's. We'll come back to that in a moment. Hansen lines up here, first of all, for his 4th goal, by the way. Only 25 metres out is Hansen. Comes in and kicks the goal. He's done well at that end today. And Hansen kicks goal number 4.
Jared, just on that hamstring, I mean, as we watch the goal again in the replay, the kick comes in. Tell you what, these are fantastic hands.
Aren't they? Good mobility, keeps his feet in a pretty boggy part of the Etihad Stadium. Good hands and good kick.
Taylor Lock. Brian Taylor Lock.
Is that another look at the camera?
Yeah, it's another look at the camera.
This man is a little Bo Peeper. He is doing more work, camera style, than I've ever seen. There he is again. Lockie, my man. Keep your eyes on the game.
Just on the hamstring, Jared, you're in the medical field. When you have an operation like Nick Riewoldt's had, there's going to be little niggles here and there. You're not sure exactly why you're getting that sort of feeling.
I think that's as good a definition or explanation as any, Hurdy. There's plenty of scar tissue there, obviously, so you don't know. He'll be feeling something.
That's a great kick.
To Milne, who probably, I reckon, could have almost completed the mark, went for the impossible shot.
That was a fantastic kick as Nick Riewoldt comes back on the ground, Smitty.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Hurdy, he was sprinting on, so showing no ill effects of that left hamstring.
Yep, testing it out there. By the way, Hansen at the other end watches more TVs in the footy game than he does at home, I reckon. He's a watcher. He's a watcher there, Hurdy.
He looks like it. He looks like he enjoys watching himself. But did you blokes have video screens when you blokes were playing?
Well, they were around, James. Colour TV came in 1975.
Okay.
But it can be an advantage to watch for mistakes and things you do right and wrong. Can it not?
Do you think that's what he was watching for?
No, he was admiring himself.
I'm just interested in Jack in Nick Riewoldt. Off the ground, then back on the ground. Now, this game is still in dispute to a degree, but you'd have to be absolutely certain there was no issue for him to be back out in the ground, even though he's just come off because he thought there was an issue.
Yeah, and another goal from the turnover and good defensive pressure by St Kilda in their forward 50, which is, a part of the game that St Kilda perfected last year. Collingwood have taken to another level and sides are concentrating on. It's a free kick, obvious free kick there.
John Scarlett, and it'll go to Graham, who's got the ball, and A nice, comfortable 35 metres out, directly in front, and a good-looking ball straying slightly to the right-hand side of the post. So 8:19 left in the third.
Just been able to keep this buffer, haven't they? The Saints, this 30-point buffer, and as much as North come and they get a goal or two. 13
of St Kilda's 18 scoring shots have been inside the 30-degree angle today, so they've got it in the right spot.
In the corridor.
Yep. And Hanson's got a free hit.
Over the back, Goldstein is in acres of space.
He does, he goes long. Here comes the big boy Goldstein over the top, and a good grab. He's been asked to kick it over the top, but don't ask a ruckman to do too much all in a couple of seconds.
Just kick the goal.
Yep. And he will. He's in a good position. 35, 40 metres out, almost directly in front. Todd Goldstein in game 36 has kicked 9 this year, comes in and has kicked that one to the right.
Hole in North Melbourne zone, space straight down the middle, which is unforgivable. You don't want to leave space in your zone down the middle.
Snyder with the ball on half-back. Decides to play on and come across the ground with
and open the ground up.
Reaching kick to Geary. He's got the one over the top to Gilbert.
Great running from Gilbert.
Now where does he go? Is it open up inside? Fisher's got it in the spot if they want
Snyder.
it. Yep. Now Gwilt to Snyder. Look at Snyder run to the space. Greenwood did well to close the kick down momentarily, but Snyder now finds the space. Talk about great running. Adam Snyder. A couple of really good efforts. Didn't pay off for him in the end to get the open look, but that's how it evolves. Wilt back to Snyder, not so efficiently. What happened to umpire Scotty McLaren? Was supposed to have him here today and must have had some sort of injury or illness prior to the game. Not umpiring today, one of the most experienced men in the business. Pity, because I had a nice long sort of piece of history on him.
What was the piece of history, BT? You might as well give it if you've done the research.
Oh, just that he was from the Eastern Districts Footy League and he's a pharmacist and all those sort of things that I've done my homework on. He's not here, so I'll tell you anyway. Here is Adams. By the way,
does that go down as a useless stat, you think?
Yeah, we've got we would have had a pharmacist here today. We've got an accountant and an IT consultant umpiring today.
Good play.
It was.
Good defence.
Again, Pratt forced to go back and patch it up. Thompson. Oh boy, just a little jittery there. What was it? Riewoldt with a high ball that come within about 15 metres of the roof. Up they go. Snyder lurking dangerously. Got McMahon, needs to get rid of it. Did. McIntosh had his feet taken out. Now Grimer.
Wasn't Riewoldt's best kick, was it?
No, it wasn't, but it's great work from Cozzy. He went up to the 50 to challenge and then charged back to the 10-metre mark to also challenge. So he is busting his boiler to get himself into some form, working pretty hard in that forward 50, and he's going out again, the St Kilda physio.
Yep, so there's certainly a worry. The runner's been out, and although Riewoldt, for all intention purposes, looks good, there's obviously something just troubling him a little. Well, down the line, and I guess the uncertainty of knowing what it feels like. Snyder, in this case, as well being attended to.
I think people underestimate that whole scar tissue thing, Jared, when you've got a hamstring that's badly torn or is put back together, that the muscle doesn't work as it normally does. And when you run, you put it under fatigue, you get some strange sensations going through the hamstring. It takes a while to work out what's not right.
Which ones are the good ones?
Which ones are the really bad ones, which ones aren't.
Yep, good point. Goldstein goes long, an opportunity. Fisher, in the end, judged it better than anyone else. Crowd here on a Sunday evening, about 30,000.
And they're not injuries you want to get wrong, because once it's too late, it's too late. You can't, there's no halfway with hamstrings.
Blake. A little short in the kick. Goddard did well to claim the ball in the end.
Fair pass.
It is. Riewoldt with the hands. A knock of the hands by Thompson will be a Riewoldt free.
That knocked Riewoldt's hands off. It was that hard. It was a fantastic pass, and it had to be that sort of kick.
Yeah.
So Nick Riewoldt today has kicked 4 goals, 4. Let's have a look at it for the knock of the hands here.
Probably a North Melbourne free kick earlier on. The Goddard contest looked to be slightly illegal.
Are you saying it was down the field?
No, I think when just like to go back a step after this kick.
Didn't appear to be kicking that one.
No, there was no knock of the hands there at all. It was the ball's pace. As you said, as Riewoldt for his 5th goal, it's there. 5 goals for to Nick.
We can go back to the Goddard contest and see whether that was a free kick. So I don't think North Melbourne supporters are happy about that. And then Riewoldt, it had to be that he got hit in the head rather than the hands, because the hands didn't get hit at all, but I think he might have copped the whack to the back of the head. You see Goddard here.
Hurdy, sorry, mate. It was a knock. Scotty Thompson knocked him right on the head. You can just see him coming in here, and it was just a clear knock right to the back of the head. Okay. So that was what it's for.
It wasn't, mate. Open hand.
Oh, he's knocked him on the head.
I think what the Kangaroo fans are dirty on is that preceding that, maybe Goddard had clipped the hands of the Kangaroo player.
Of Rawlings, wasn't it?
But that goal, 60% of it should go down to Cozzy, because he shepherded magnificently on the line there, which is great strength.
But we've underestimated Goddard's pass. That was an absolute cracker. You'd love to lead into that.
Another one of those little things that Cozzy is doing to stay in the side that perhaps don't go down on the stat sheet, which Ross Lyon often alludes to. Here's Blake. Keary under some ferocious garlic pressure there, and Blake able to run onto it. And there's the boys getting some attention.
Physios are being kept nice and busy down here, BT, for the St Kilda Footy Club.
Indeed they are, Smithy. There's Warren, Rawlings and Greenwood.
Geez, they're out here, the Kangas.
Cunnington, great composure in traffic he has.
Yeah.
Ferrito now, wide to Harding. Harding hammers the ball to Hansen. And Hansen has once again got loose and will line up for his 5th goal at the other end.
Well, he's showing some terrific signs at the forward end of the ground. We've spoken a bit about the lack of discipline at times, but it's only been 2 issues. You take that out and he's had a belter of a game.
He's had a very good game, Jared. You're right about the discipline, but he's made space and got away from his St Kilda opponent.
Hansen with the most difficult shot he's had today. Comes in and didn't get near it. Touched off the mark as well, so there will be no mark paid. Comes to Ferrito. Slipped as he went to kick. Picked up by Wright. I think it's good. It is. 3rd goal for the quarter.
They're just keeping themselves in touch. Ferrito should have probably released it the first time he had a snap. Thought it would get smothered. Slipped off the side of his boot. It's a Cozzy mark, but it was touched anyway, so it might have, Ray got tackled there, and Wright putting it through the middle of the goals. But Hansen providing the option. Not a great kick. Cozzy takes that mark. It's probably goes to a ball up, which means that North Melbourne don't get a chance to have a shot at goal, but nice little snap from Wright to put them 30 points up, and they're still in touch. They're not out of the game. Next goal, very, very important.
There he is, Sam Wright. And a good look straight down the ground here.
He hasn't caught on to Hansen's looking at the screen yet.
No.
He's kept his head down.
Screen watcher. Opportunity here now from Milne, and Rawlings tidies it up with McMahon's help, but the kick's not great, allowing Snyder to be involved in the Harding contest.
He did well there, Harding, because he was set up with a pretty ordinary kick.
Yeah, the benefit of keeping the feet with a long ball as well, to the advantage of Edwards over the top. Here comes the dangerous Thomas. He was caught high. Collared him. The advantage is paid, and Wright will run into consecutive goals, and they're within 24 points.
Now, here is a classic example of why they should change this rule, because everybody had stopped. The Rules Committee are looking at making the player determine whether there's advantage or not, and so they should, because the whistle sounded, and have a look at Quill. He just pulls up. Everybody's pulled up, and I think it was Dempster. But I'm not sure who ended up kicking the goal. Wright picks up. I mean, that's a joke.
What it does do is puts the game back into a real contest.
Yeah.
I mean, North Melbourne have just held in there for the last 2 quarters. They haven't played great footy, but 4 goals down, they're back in with a sniff after really, just hanging in there.
But all of those players, Jared, know that advantage rule could have been paid in that situation. Should have been alert.
Yeah, but I think that enough time had elapsed that everybody had said, OK, it's going to be his mark.
How have you seen the North Melbourne spread in the forward line, Jared? You highlighted it early in the game. It does seem to be creating opportunities for them when they get it in there.
Well, it's a combination of spreading, and I think the Saints' pressure has drop right off, and we're just seeing this once again.
Starting to hot up now. Geary A minute 30 in the third quarter remaining. Another goal here for the Roos to get it under that 20-point margin would be very nice. Eddie really put his head over a heavy wind ball there. Did well. Montagna takes it away. The Saints just feel a little bit of a mental lift, and Riewoldt will line up for his 6th goal. Now, last time these sides played, he kicked 7 after quarter time. He already has 5 after quarter time in this game, and he lines up for number 6. He's kicked 5 goals, 4. And here he goes from a 45-degree angle at about 40 metres. Been his best, one of his best outcomes. I think the best outcome since his return.
Yeah, it's a mongrel, but it's got through.
It has, and there is number 6 for Nick Riewoldt with a minute left, and the importance of that goal won't be underestimated.
No, it was a floater, Hurdy. It didn't hit that one at all well, but got the job done. Just get the ball forward here to the Saints, and Nick Riewoldt on the end of it.
He's just able to get 2 metres on his opponent because of his running ability. I mean, he just runs so hard, and it's so hard for his opponents to keep up with him because of his aerobic ability, his speed off the mark, and then he's got those long arms to get the arms up. Almost impossible to stop if he gets some half-decent ball. 6 goals from Nick Riewoldt. Get through this game unscathed. The man is back.
Let's go down to Rowan Smith. Dempster got a bit of a knock, Smithy.
Yeah, he did. Just in the last contest that when the North Melbourne Footy Club kicked the goal, he just copped a little bit of a knock. He was a little bit wobbly. He came to the bench, spoke to the doctor, but he looks okay now, BT.
Okay, he'll be back into it shortly, we hope. And the Saints respond here with a Riewoldt goal, bringing up goal number 6. You agree, James, that it's been his best game since?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's had periods in other games where he's played well, but I just think the way he's attacked the ball, particularly in the second quarter, his attack on the ball, he's flying for marks. It's the Nick Riewoldt of old, and everyone in the game, I think, would be very happy to see him come back. But
only been off the ground once, I think, today too, and that was for a bit of a query.
Goddard's just pushed back. Wells is still free across half-back.
And there's Dempster getting check. He's doing that concussion test now. They're asking him a few questions and checking the eyesight. Goldstein did well to knock it forward, swallow the tackle on Snyder. And with 15 seconds remaining here, slightly favouring the North Melbourne end. Most of the players down the corridor. Fuddled the ball on the ground. Goldstein doing well. Swallow got an opportunity here. Harding. 10 seconds left. The Roos are the only ones that can add to the score here now. What can they do? They all slip over. And now Gwilt with the ball wide. And at 3/4 time, the Riewoldt 6 goal was indeed timely. It was a 24-point margin before that. It's now back out to 30. And that man there has kicked 6 today. 8-7-55 the Roos. St Kilda 13-7-85. Didn't get there. It touched off the mark as well, so there will be no mark. Play comes to Ferrito. Slipped as he went to kick. Picked up by Wright. I think it's good. It is. Here comes the dangerous Thomas. He was caught high. Collared him. The advantage is paid, and Wright will run into consecutive goals. Well, Montagna takes it away. The Saints just feel a little bit of a mental lift, and Riewoldt been his best, one of his best outcomes. I think the best outcome since his return.
Yeah, it's a mongrel, but it's got through.
It has, and there is number 6 for Nick Riewoldt. Yes, Nick Riewoldt doing well here in this game with 6 goals. The Saints holding off the Roos by 30 points here at 3/4 time. What about this? The 3/4 time break. Ross Lyon got them in. He said, have a look at this fraud. Guess what, you blokes? Just 6 tackles for the quarter, he said. He was furious, James Hird.
And rightly so. This is a side that is trying to win a premiership, though. Lost last year in the grand final. They need to build. You don't win premierships, so you don't become a good side off the base of 6 tackles in a quarter. I'm sure there's more than that. St Kilda just played to did what they had to do in that quarter, and Ross Lyon is saying, boys, we're on our way here. We're not about doing just what we need to make sure we put this side away, kick over 100 points, and really put defensive pressure on the Kangaroos so they're nowhere near it. Smitty, how do you see it, mate?
Well, Hurdy, I'll tell you what, Ross Lyon went off there. Brad Scott was the total opposite. He was really positive with his players. He just implored his players to basically kick the ball a little bit more, find a little bit more direction. they've got nothing to lose. If they lose tonight, they can't make the final. So he was really positive. So expect the Kangaroos to play a lot more down the corridor in this last quarter to try and get back that deficit of 30 points.
I think Ross Lyon had them in all the time. I don't think they went into their breaks at all, Jared. He spoke to them for the whole length of that three-quarter time break.
Yeah, and I think he made a fair point. I reckon Hurdy has it spot on. It was 2 weeks getting back Saints footy, and they gave it all up in 30 minutes. They just played slack footy. They were just basically going forward rather than pushing back, and Ross Lyon laid down the law.
Interesting thing just on that board as he held the team up, they were actually playing a 7-man back line rather than a 6-man forward line, 6-man back line, and expecting the North Melbourne opponent to come and pick them up on that 7-man back line. It's interesting to see how it all lines up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 7 in the back line at the moment.
Well, I think most people around the footy world reckons that Ross Lyon would go to his grave with an extra man in that back line.
Yeah.
He'd rather save a goal than kick a goal.
But interesting now, it is actually 7 on 7. So the Kangaroos, or North Melbourne, are giving up the space in their forward line to make sure that Goddard is manned up and can't roam free.
Yeah, Goddard went back into the slot, and immediately the North Melbourne player came with him, and now out of the middle, Cunnington for the Roos to Thomas.
So Wells is pushed up onto a wing, and Graham's there as well. So we'll just see how much time they spend together.
What that tells me, though, is that the Daniel Wells versus Brendan Goddard at one end, Goddard's probably won that battle.
Good kick by Thomas, almost coming off, but Goddard was just able to read it better. Got knocked on the kick, but still able to find Milne. Need a win here to stay within 2 points of the 8. The Roos, the Saints, they win this game, they cement a position in the top 4, and the top 2 is still open to them.
Just kicked the goal. It was a good lead by him. It was aided and abetted by Scott Thompson going to ground, but it was also a pretty good kick.
And as a result, he will line up. Man on the marks at 49, so it's a long one. Very capable of it, though, Justin Kosicki. He comes in and lets it rip from 52, and that's to the near side. And a minor score only. Has kicked the 1 goal today, but has been involved in a couple of other processes. Took a couple of nice marks as well. Nathan Grimer, 21 disposals. 9 1%ers today. Has spent a little bit of time on that man. Greenwood now. Over the head, too deep, and here they come again, the Saints. Montagna taken away by Garlett. To ground went Greenwood. He recovered and gave it to a man in Rawlings that was always hot. McWalter through traffic, beautiful handball. Milne went low with the kick, knowing it'd be smothered. Thompson got a hand on it.
Pretty good work by Milne, spot on BT, summed it up really well, tried to keep it low under the hands that could have smothered it. Didn't quite hit it well, but the decision-making process was electric.
Lee Harding to kick in from full-back. Thompson getting some advice from the crowd. Down in that pocket, and here's McIntosh straight through the hands, but he got knocked. And the umpire rightly paying the advantage rule, but in the end, the kick by Adams was never ever going to find a Roo player because there wasn't one in the area.
Pretty average free kick there for a handball from Jason Blake.
What about the tackle by Gwilt on the non-tackle? You can see why Ross Lyon went off at three-quarter time, tackling efforts like that. They've got to beat North Melbourne, but they're not actually playing North Melbourne here. They're playing themselves into some form where they can play the top sides in finals.
Looking to make it consecutive wins. They've got Richmond and Adelaide over the next 2, the Saints. And Ross Lyon said before today's game that they need to go with some momentum, winning these games and winning them in a particular style. Here's Snyder back to Goddard, just releasing the pressure valve for a moment, and now back to Snyder.
I reckon big Todd Goldstein will have a look at the video and he'll learn from that punch. He whacked it 25 metres, which put it into the hands of Sam Fisher. Now, as he gets older and gets more experience, he'll just bring it to ground because that's where his little blokes will be running, to his legs.
Gilbert gave it then and immediately realised he shouldn't have given it. He tried to reel it back in, yo-yo style. Didn't work for him, and now Hansen can line up for his 6th goal. Or 5th goal, in fact.
Well, he's actually benefited from Goldstein being the main man because he's whipped out on the side. Let's have a look at Goldstein. He comes in. He's a 2-on-1 situation. Goes the big thumping punch. Now you can see Warren.
Defensive punch.
That's what it was. You saw Warren at his feet, and that's where he needed to bring it, just down to the ground in front of him in a dangerous spot.
Hansen lines up. 45 metres out, kick is offline, so he stays with the 4 goals.
Because when you're crumbing in that forward area, you sit about 4 to 5 metres off right in front. If a punch goes out 10 or 15, you're totally out of play, so you want it to come down just at their feet.
Yep.
Goddard pulled the kick beautifully to Milne. Milne puts a bit of altitude in it, but...
Tell you what, boys, this game, I'm not sure... If North Melbourne really want to win this game, it's up for grabs, because St Kilda just are playing terribly this first 5 minutes of the last quarter.
Do you think they haven't sensed that? Do you think the North Melbourne players haven't sensed that the Saints aren't on there?
I'm not sure, but the game's up here if North Melbourne want to take at the moment.
I'm going to McIntosh, punched away. Here's Milne. Another kick that misses the McQualter target. Here's Hayes to tidy it up. Handball in front of Graham. And now Riewoldt comes at the kicker. It was well done. Thompson thought he was going to the goal square, covered that, and then the moment he committed him there, he came back, and that's 50. And Riewoldt has sucked Thompson in magnificently there.
Those two have been at each other all day, and Thompson just got sucked in. But you're right, Riewoldt's lead. Riewoldt tried to go back towards goal, and Thompson blocked him. As soon as he blocked him, he bounced off. Graham had the intelligence of the footy smarts to actually wait with a kick to see where Riewoldt was going to be.
7 goals since quarter time, the same last time they played, and Thompson doing the flop there, and that's not in the spirit of game. He should be penalised for that.
Isn't there a rule?
Well, there is.
There's a rule there now.
Penalise them. I'm sick of seeing it.
Well, watch Graham hold the ball, if we can see. So Riewoldt, if you can picture this, Riewoldt's running back, hits him, comes back off the play. Graham's smart enough to hold it up and just drops that kick in. And terrific lead, but an even better decision by Graham. The kick was great, the decision to hold on to it and see where Riewoldt ended up was fantastic.
37-point margin, Riewoldt got 7, and this is not good. That is not good from Thompson's point of view. Back in the middle we go. The superstar back into some great form. A pleasing sight for all St Kilda fans as we're within 2 weeks of finals. And today has been Grimer at times and Thompson at other times.
The key question for the Saints is what have they got out of this game?
Well, they've got Nick Riewoldt. I think they've got Nick Riewoldt back into some fantastic form.
That's about it.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah, I think the ball movement's been pretty good in the second quarter and part of the third quarter.
Maybe a bit of Cozzy. Cozzy's shown a little bit. He's only had half a dozen possessions, but
he's taken 2 nice contested marks like that. They 3, I think.
I think they've got a little bit of form out of McQualter, who's done a negative job up forward.
They're also going to kick over 100 points, which I think is big for St Kilda. But St Kilda don't often, or this year haven't often got up there. I think to kick those 100 points is and when they've needed to kick goals in that second quarter, they put 7 on in a row. The attacking side of the game, I think, has been pretty good.
That was to half-time. Since half-time, I think they've gone back to the type of footy that Ross Lyon wouldn't be overly excited about.
Cozzy lines up from 45 to 50 metres out. Comes in, kick looks great. It's a little short in its journey though. And being marked in defence by McIntosh. Didn't really hit it with all of his might on that occasion, Cozzy. So a couple of minor wins here for the Saints today. But their overall game, the boys are saying perhaps a quarter at their really good footy and the rest hasn't been great.
Yeah, I think that the tap-outs have been interesting, Jared. I mean, they went in with 1 ruckman and really McIntosh 22, Goldstein 13 taps. North Melbourne had the better of that tap work. I know it's taps to advantage, which is the important ones, but McAvoy and Kosicki only 13 between them. So certainly been able to, from a North Melbourne point of view, dominating the ruck. But once the ball hits the ground, these little guys from St Kilda have taken over.
Peake sends it over the line. Ben's trying to get Cozzy off at the moment to give him the spell. He don't want to come.
He's just taking a couple of nice little marks there, BT. I wouldn't want to come off either.
No. And the bench still waving. You can't see them on your screen, but I can see them from where I sit. There they are. They're saying, come on, get him off, get him off. I say to you blokes, leave him on. Confidence in the marking thing is exactly what he needs to do. If he can repeat that again in a minute or two, that's exactly what can ignite this guy's form. I don't understand that.
Well, that was really good play by Andrew Swallow there. He just tracked Lenny Hayes. He's now snuck off the boundary line to have a rest through the interchange, and Montagne's on. But
Del Santo the knock, Rawlings.
There's been a lot of positives for the Kangaroos this year, and Swallow's been one of them. Back-to-back best and fairest possible.
Good handball, Del Santo released. Peak, he lost a handle on it. Went and tidied it up to Graham now. Graham just a little nurser. Found Nick Riewoldt.
Smart with his feet, isn't he? Graham, or with his brain, really, in the way he sees things. And, you know, not a technically brilliant kick, but that kick went exactly where it needed to go and sets up another goal.
Riewoldt lines up. That handball from Del Santo was great. That's not so good from Peak, but he had time to recover it.
Got 2 possessions, BT.
Yep. Does that count as 2, does it? Don't tell me it does. Please. McWalter directly in front. Comes in and misses.
Probably counts as 1 ineffective and 1 effective. Just cancels each other out.
Still haven't got Cozzy off, which I'm impressed with from Cozzy's point of view.
Refusing.
Yeah.
BT, he's refusing to look up.
And agree, totally. Play that naive game until you're caught out. Here's Gilbert. Backwards now to Goddard, who just a little touch of it and nursed it brilliantly to Del Santo, who says, I'm going for goal. As Cozzy throws Thompson out of the way.
Gilbert's one of the pluses for the Saints. His game today has been pretty high quality stuff. It's been a long couple of year campaign, stretching out to 3 or 4 years for some of these guys, and after nearly getting so close last year, they've got to turn it on again.
Good looking kick from Del Santo. Was it touched? Yes. McIntosh got it right on the line.
And probably St Kilda haven't got the drive out of Del Santo and Montaigne that they normally get. Those 2 guys have been a little bit, not that they've had bad games, but they've been a little bit down on their numbers, and their run through the midfield they normally get from Montaigne and Del Santo.
Great kick by Cunnington to Edwards. Edwards not so good off the end. He gave it to the disadvantage of Goldstein. Here's Thomas. Back to Edwards, who gets a front-on look at the goal. Didn't have a lot of time, and for that reason, it's a really good result.
Keep it simple, Jared. Try to put the passing in work when you got the goals in sight. Just whack it on the boot, and they normally go through for Edwards.
He's a good goal kicker without doubt. In fact, I really liked the decision by Lindsay Thomas. He could have gone round him, but he played percentages. And there are times when you can go the excitement option, or there are times when you just give it back to a bloke who's 45 out and he can have a genuine non-pressured shot at goal, and that was the right option.
Aaron Edwards, couple today, and they finally lasso this man.
Got to address the clearances here, the Saints, because the Kangaroos have slaughtered them so far this quarter. It was 5-0 about a minute ago.
McAvoy.
Make that 6-0.
Greenwood. Here's now Garlett. Under pressure, Goddard takes them on. Almost got clear, and now Greenwood trying to get through there, and he had prior opportunity, said the umpire. And saw Milne wide and said, oh, look, that's my option B. I want something inside. And in the end, he couldn't find either.
On the square line, Toddy, on the square line.
Shouldn't be too hard for Todd to work out. The umpire saying the mark is on the square line. Gilbert, a little chiseler to Hayes. Hayes got plenty of running support here, and Graham, who makes the angles, coming back inside. Riewoldt, beautiful pick up off his toes. Milne, great kick. Stanley on the lead. That was good.
That was great.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? And they're taking him off.
Well, it was a smart handball by Riewoldt, but the kick from Milne was superb. Allowed the receiver, Reece Stanley, to take a chest mark.
Riewoldt comes off. 7 goals notched against his name. Fine effort. Cozzy comes on. And Nick Riewoldt back almost at his best. 7 goals for today. Stanley lines up. 40 metres out, a high ball. That is indeed accurate. Stanley gets one.
Good confidence booster for a youngster who's trying to get himself into this side and stay in the side. Got an opportunity with an injury to Gardner to come in today. And whilst he hasn't got a heap of the footy, only 7 possessions, he's battled away in the ruck. He's learned a bit, and it could well be the future that we're seeing for him as a ruckman who can go forward.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a future, I think, Jared. You're right there, and he moves so quickly and has great speed in his legs. It gives you that advantage of being able to get in front and get on the lead.
Well, I don't see him being a 60 or 70 a year goal kicker, but I see him being a genuine asset to the Saints as that second ruck option.
Hayes.
Michael Johnson would be a bloke you should have a look at and maybe copy the way he goes about it.
There he goes again. And you've got to win out of there as well. Hayes now has to make it work for him, and that's down in the Cozzy direction.
Stiff there, Cozzy.
He was. McWalter burrows his way out.
Starting to see something there, BT, and Cozzy. He's had some good defensive part of his game this game, and this quarter he's got his hands on the ball a bit.
He has. Hurdy, and have a look at this. He was almost able to glove this one. He got himself in a good position where he was the only one that could actually win it. And was just not able to hang on with momentum against him. Lenny Hayes there in a double Del Santo sandwich tackle.
They've gone back to the extra man in defence here, the Kangaroos at the stoppage.
Goddard, free kick to Brendan Goddard for the push out. Heard the umpire explain, umpire Simon Meredith, IT consultant, former umpire in the amateurs. There's Milne dropping a mark that he should have taken, and as a result had to rush the kick forward, which in the end lands in play. And he'll get another opportunity. Deep in the St Kilda forward end. The Roos will be 6 points behind the final 8 race as a result of this. And they have West Coast and Melbourne to come. West Coast at Subi next week, and then Melbourne at the G. And they've got to hope some other results go their way as well. Warren, on the other hand, St Kilda will have consolidated, in fact, entrenched themselves in the top 4. Can't come out of there now. And even a possibility to finish as high as second for them.
And second and third don't really matter, do they? The same with both 2 Melbourne tired sides. They'll looks like could be a Geelong St Kilda preliminary, first final, BT, which was very, very interesting after the grand final last year.
Yep. What's your thoughts on that sort of matchup with current form at the moment?
I think Geelong after last night are in better form, but 3 weeks out, depends how St Kilda can get this press going and make sure they defend high up the ground, win the contested ball. Interesting to see what happens.
Fast hands out of that corridor traffic. Snyder just off balance, does it magnificently. McWalter, Del Santo with a bit of a no-look handball, and then Milne's kick is superb, and that'll nearly be 50 as well. Riewoldt will be paid the mark. It's lucky not to be 50 because it was definitely...
He just missed it, the umpire. He had to miss that. It was clearly a 50.
And very lucky to get away with it. But look at this, takes the mark, and then the knock, that's 50 every day. And as you say, Jared, I think he just didn't see it.
I think he might have just had a player run across his line of sight.
Yep. Surprised one of the other umpires wouldn't have seen it. Yep. But anyway, Riewoldt as a result for his 8th goal with 8:24 remaining. 45 metres out, and that one coming back a little bit, nowhere near enough.
I mean, it is an issue. It's a small issue in the context of what Brad Scott's main job is. That's to get them up into the finals. But it's one of those things that'll get you there. They would have given away 5 dumb 50-metre penalties this today, and most of them have turned half shots a goal into genuine shots a goal, and they got away with another one.
Ferrito to Rawlings, and now Thompson's under the pump. McMahon, Bastanak. Eventually they're going to run into trouble here, or are they? Grime is now forced to make a difficult kick. Ball on the deck. Wells intelligent with the use of the foot.
It's interesting, Jared, you asked before about what are the positives to come out of this game for St Kilda. I think the fact they've kicked 100 points is a big positive. It's only the 6th time this year they've done it, whereas you've got Collingwood who have done it 13 times this year, Geelong 14 times this year. Sides that are more attacking, St Kilda pride themselves on that defensive game. The fact Nick Riewoldt's back in great form and Kazitsky giving them something up there, Milne, Schneider, the forward line seems to be working a lot better than it probably has all year.
When you look at their opposition, including the Bulldogs, it's almost impossible to believe you're going to be able to beat 3 top-line sides by squeezing. You're going to have to kick a winning score as much as defend a winning score.
And it might not be 100, but it's going to have to be 80, 75, 80, I'd say.
Ross Lyon and Steve Silvani in deep conversation there before. I'd love to be a fly on the wall there. Here's Goldstein. Kick around the corner is a good one to the almost to the advantage of Hansen. In the end, it dropped a little short. Blake tackled by Warren, got rid of it. Geary now. Farron Ray. Quilt just around the outside to Gilbert.
Hurdy, just while the ball's in St Kilda backline as well, the backline has been sensational today as well. So Jason Graham's had 31 disposals. Goddard's had 31, finding himself down the back line. Sam Gilbert's had 24 and Sam Fisher's had 22. So it all starts in the defence as well for St Kilda.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting though that Hansen's been out. I think he's kicked 5. You know, and just been able to find some gaps in the forward line. Sorry, in the St Kilda back line.
Yep, just missing to the left-hand side there. Aaron Edwards. 6:26 remaining. Hansen had a good day today. Back into McAvoy. McIntosh off to Harvey. Big weekend for him next weekend. Another twilight game over in Perth against West Coast for his 300th game. It's going to cost him a fortune in airfares to get everyone over there.
Looking forward to seeing how the Kangaroos go, though, because it is this has been a disappointing result. I think that they realise that there's a fair gap between them making the 8 and actually taking on the big boys at the top end of the ladder. We've seen that most of the year.
Good kick, good mark, Eddie.
But the key point for the Kangas, it'd be great to see them finish the season off really well, really competitive, unlike, I guess, today's performance.
You should have seen, you probably couldn't see it on the screen, you should have seen Riewoldt, Kazitsky sprint towards the forward line. They've both done 150-metre sprints into the forward line, probably knowing they're not going to get the ball, but it's almost part of training, isn't it? Training them for themselves to the finals, knowing in 3 weeks' time they're going to need to have that work rate to play well.
Eddie comes in to kick the goal, and he will, and he does. 16th for the Saints. Lead it by 45 points. Crowd of 23,118 here today. Slightly disappointing. Here's the replay of what you're talking about, James.
Yeah, watch it. He knows the ball's going, and then he's going to go. He's going to get on his bike. He doesn't get near it. This is the elite running that this guy does, and it's almost as though he's training himself for later in the year. It's not even about him getting the ball there. He said, right, I'm going to get it. And you've actually got Kazitsky off to the left who's doing the same thing. I just reckon that's the ultimate professionalism, to think you're probably not going to get the ball, but get the running in your legs to get yourself right for finals.
Speaking about North before, Jared, 10 wins this year.
Yeah.
Bettering their 7 of last year, so...
Good. It's been a really good year by the Kangas. There's no doubt Brad Scott's breathed a bit of life into the club. They'd be really thrilled with what they've achieved so far, but they've got an opportunity to finish it with a flurry, and they've missed that opportunity today, and they've got 2 to finish.
That'll be a free kick to Cozzy, so this will be a nice little booster for Cozzy as well. Riewoldt comes off again, I think probably this time for the last time, surely. Cozzy will line up for his 2nd goal. He's had a couple of missed opportunities as well today. He's 1 goal, 1. A couple of others didn't quite make the journey. And this was a hold. Griner turned him. Now he's directly in front. He's only 35 metres out here. Justin Kazitsky comes in. And that's pretty straight, isn't it? That's a really nice kick. That'll do his mind the world of good.
He's played okay today, Justin Kazitsky. There's been some really good signs, and I think that the forward line of St Kilda has really worked as well as I've seen it work since Riewoldt's come back in the game. Del Sando getting the ball out of the middle. That first kick out of the centre of the ground is so important. because sides haven't got time to flood back deep. And see Kaczynski, nice kicking style, straight through the middle. Tell you what, you wouldn't mind kicking them like that every time. That was no way that ball was ever going to go anywhere else but right through the middle of the goals.
It's a great vision also of your mate BT, big boy McAvoy. Just a nice little tap down to Goddard, onto Del Santo, and then the big bloke is always there.
Does he hold his spot on this side, big boy McAvoy, Jared?
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yep.
They love to ruck with the Saints.
Yep. Out of the middle, Garlett. Ball missed the Bastanak target. Harding and Pratt, and 4.5 minutes remaining here in this game. This will be a Thompson-Stanley crash.
Good effort by both players.
Yep. It was. Eyes firmly on the ball, and they missed each other in mid-air. If they had hit each other, it would have been nasty.
And Milne's just pulled up a little bit lame. He might have been trodden on. Trainer's come out to see him, or the physio, but he's shooed him away.
23,000 people here today, boys. Is that a disappointing crowd for two sides with a lot to play for?
Yeah, they both had a bit riding on it, didn't they? And it is a little disappointing. Early Sunday evening here. Here's Graham from 50 metres out. We know he can get that journey covered every day. This one hits the post. Yeah, 23,118, James. I agree that is a little disappointing. It's a North Melbourne home game, though, as distinct from a St Kilda home game, and that probably means 7, 8, 9,000 less straight away because of the membership base of the respective clubs. North not great drawers of big crowds.
So has he got the response he was chasing, Hurdy? Ross Lyon?
In this quarter?
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes he didn't. I thought they were very ordinary in the first 5 minutes of Saints, but since then the tackling's been better, the work rate's been better. Yeah. And you can't complain. I mean, you kicked 17 goals, 13. You've beaten a team by almost 10 goals. I think it's a pretty good effort.
Dempster has a crack in there. And as the free kick is plucked out, and you see Blake step off there. He's got a bit of cramp. And now Bastanak. Backwards to Lee Adams.
What he has done well, Ross Lyon, is he's closed down Wells and Harvey since half-time. Just 11 disposals between them since the half-time break. First half, Wells had 15 and Harvey 13 with significant players in the side. But since half-time, Lyon's been able to cut them out of the game, and I think it's been a big reason why St Kilda's got on top.
Harvey. McMahon tries to pinpoint it to Wells, who did well to keep the ball rolling forward to Bastanak. He has to back off, and in the end, it's not a great disposal, although Hanson was trying to tidy it up. Now the Saints on the rebound. Can they open them up? They won't with that sort of kick.
I think that's a pointed comment, Hurdy, about where they'll be looking for their recruiting, either with juniors or with experienced players. They've got to get some more line breakers, more runners.
Totally agree.
There are plenty of guys who can play on the inside, but they need some genuine outside, fleet of foot.
Good mark. It's a very good mark. Great pressure. Great kick too.
Really good hands. And Ben Warren, he's too far out to make any impression on the scoreboard here, so right offers him something. And he also juggles the mark, but right on 50.
It's going to be an important pre-season for Ben Warren. He seems to have stagnated a fair bit this year after being impressive at times last year.
I actually like his decisions he makes. He seems like a very smart footballer.
Brought into the side evidently to put some negative pressure on, but needs to get a few more strings to his bow.
Here's Wright for his third goal in this game. Kicked 3 straight so far. It's a little bit of leverage on the ball to try and kick it a bit further, and McAvoy was punched it away, hit the behind post, so that'll be a boundary throw in. That, under any proposed new rule, would have been a behind.
What do you think of that rule, BT?
Don't like it at all. Don't know why we do it. Don't know that anyone's ever talked about it and that it was even on the agenda, but somehow it pops up.
I'm glad I asked him that, Jared.
It is one of the most bizarre things. I think it's a decoy by the AFL, to tell you the truth, to get the pressure off the other rules that we should be talking about.
Ambit.
Can't believe it. My golly.
There's no one to kick to for the Saints. There's not one player in their forward half.
Don't worry about the footy. I was enjoying BT's rant. I thought that was excellent.
Oh, no, that's the one bit that I've just unsure about. I just don't get it. Here's Bastanak. I'm sure the AFL don't do things like that. I mean that in a humorous sense. But, yeah, where did it come from? Up they fly. And that's why you leave Cozzy on the ground, because he can get something out of these last few minutes. Good grab. He's grabbed a number of nice contested marks today. You guys should have a look at those after the game today in your summary of it, because the 3 or 4 that he's grabbed today...
Does that mean you're not hanging around, BT?
Well, I'll be hanging around to watch to see whether you do replay some of these.
It is a great mark. He just attacks it. And I think that's why he gets so much negative publicity, because when he is going for the ball and playing well, that's what he can do.
He may get some of that publicity, Eddie, but I reckon there's a lot of people, now that the siren's gone, including Kangaroos people, want to see Cozzy back to his best. Absolutely. He's had one of the great struggles over 12 months, but he's an exciting player when he's on top.
Consecutive wins for the St Kilda side here today. Port and North, they've got Richmond and Adelaide, and today they have won by 52 points there. Cozzy got involved in the game. The superstar Riewoldt kicked 7. And all in all, a pretty impressive performance. Let's go down to Rowan Smith with Nick Riewoldt.
Thanks, BT. Well, Nick, that was a really good win today.
Yeah, it was. Challenged early. Look, they had a lot to play for as well. Obviously, a final spot up for grabs. But for us, it was about continuing to improve on last week. We thought last week was a really good step in the right direction. Clearly, there's some very good teams in the competition, so it's up to us to continue to improve. So we're in a position to challenge.
The key for you guys is your pressure and your tackling efforts. Ross Lyon was clearly disappointed there at three-quarter time.
Yeah, you saw that. They had a few solid bangs of the stats board, but the pressure and the tackling is really the cornerstone of our game. We know when that's good, it gives our defenders an opportunity to defend, and that's what we hang our hat on. So we went great in the third quarter, but I thought right across the board we were pretty good apart from that patch.
You come off a couple of times, tested out the hamstring. Is it feeling okay? Because you looked like you were moving superb today.
Yeah, no, feeling good. What the medicos are like, they tend to get a little bit jumpy, but the body's feeling good, and another step in the right direction today.
And it's so important to play good footy at the right end of the year too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't about the result. I mean, obviously you want to win, but it wasn't about the margin or anything like that for us. It was about the method and the way we went about it, and probably for the majority we were good in that area.
And your big mate down forward as well showed some terrific signs, especially there at the end, Cozzy.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot of work this week on his hands, and I think especially the one late, that's the Cozzy we all know and love, and if he's clunking them like that, he's a terrific player for us, and he's made us function really well. So he's a valuable member of our team.
7 goals, fantastic effort today. Well done, Nick.
Tough.
Thanks,
an upbeat Nick Riewoldt there, boys.
And why not? When you kick 7 goals, you've got to be happy, and you'd be happy with the way the side played. They had some up and down moments, but in the end, they were the better side. As we see Brent Harvey not happy, and I think he's talking about that's lost opportunity, boys. That's we've got to wait till next year now, and as a captain, as a player, you feel very disappointed when you know your season's almost over.
Now 6 points out of the final 8 race they are. St Kilda have won a spot in the top 4 again this year. That is for certain. They celebrate, their fans celebrate on a Sunday afternoon. A 52-point win will make this man here, Lenny Hayes, very happy as he thanks the supporters on a Sunday evening. Brennan Goddard and Graham, all important players. A big win here today for the Saints by 52 points over North Melbourne.
Go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching